Can you stop saying that word? Say it to me. Okay.
You're muted. It says you're muted. No, that wouldn't be it, right? Yeah. Ready?
I'm just going to tell them to make things up and get right into the introduction. Okay.
Andres, do you have the mic on or something?
Good afternoon, Talent Search participants and guests. My name is Dr. Flores, and I am the Director for Talent Search. I would like to begin by apologizing for the delay today. One of our norms is definitely starting on time, and we had some technical issues today because we have designed and created a fabulous program for you. It may have been too fabulous for this morning, so some of our equipment we're still getting adjusted to, and our location we're still getting adjusted to. So what we're going to do to make up for that time that we've lost is cut a few things from our program today and reinsert them in different areas for the rest of the week. So we promise you'll still get the same information and the same one-on-one attention as you would have had we started on time. We'll just have to make a few adjustments. Again, I apologize for that. So I'd like to welcome you to the University of Houston downtown. It's our second annual Summer Robotics Academy. And I would like to begin by thanking Dr. Lauren Blanchard. He is our president at the University of Houston downtown. And he is dedicated to supporting students and dedicated to the success of our students and the programs, specifically Talent Search. So thank you, Dr. Blanchard, for allowing us to have this program today at our beautiful campus. I would also like to thank Dr. Scott Marzelli, who is the Dean of University College here at the University of Houston. He is an ardent supporter of Talent Search and an ardent supporter of students. He adores the Talent Search program, and he allows us to proceed and provide the services that we are required to give you and to our community. So we're very, very fortunate to have both of these men, Dr. Blanchard and Dr. Marzelli, supporting our program. Finally, I'd like to thank the entire Talent Search team who has spent many, many hours and after work and on weekends preparing for this substantive robotics academy that we have planned for you this entire week. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Dean of Student Support Services, Dean Tamez and Jose Vasquez, who gave us the opportunity to produce and present our Robotics Academy in their beautiful, wonderful eSports lounge. We'll have more of that later. We're going to talk about that later so we can get moving on with our program. But lastly, I would like to thank you for being patient and for participating in this summer's Educational Talent Search Robotics Academy. I guarantee you'll have fun and learn at the same time. So let's get this thing going, okay? What do you say?
All right, let's do it.
So again, my name is Dr. Brian Flores. I'm the Director for Educational Talent Search. I assist in running the program, accepting your applications, making sure our grant meets federal guidelines, and I also support the staff that works with you, our advisors and our program assistant and our administrative assistant. In addition, we have mentors that we hired over the course of the year to help and support you, our students. Thank you, Dr. Marzilli, for giving us extra cash to do that. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our advisor named Ryan Gilo. He is our advisor for all the seniors. So if you are a rising senior and you're going to be a senior in the fall of 2021, this is the gentleman that will help you with your financial literacy, FAFSA, and any questions you might have. Welcome, Mr. Gilo.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Like Dr. Flores mentioned, my name is Ryan Gilo. I work exclusively with the seniors right now in the program to help you get prepared to go off to college. So what does that look like? We start off with your FAFSA. We talk about scholarship applications. We help you with different college applications as it relates to deadlines. Especially when you're in your senior year, there's already enough that you have to keep in your mind and know what you have to get done in order to go off to college. So we start off the year running, and we don't stop. and all the way until the end, until you're graduated, that's sort of what I focus on. And so once you're graduated, we like to host ceremonies. We're looking at actually putting together a couple ceremonies right now for graduated seniors going off to college. So we like to do that for you, but we also are required to track your progress while you're in college all the way through graduation for 6 years after you graduate from this program. So once you're in this program, you're in it until you graduate, but that doesn't stop us from being able to help you even post-graduation. So thank you so much, Dr. Flores, for introducing myself. I'll be helping Mr. Acosta throughout this process, helping you program, code, and build these robots, and I look forward to it.
Thank you, Mr. Gilo, and you're going to love working with Mr. Gilo. He is a wizard when it comes to your FAFSA and your financial literacy. We have a great year planned for you. And now I'd like to introduce you to our 10th and 11th grade advisor. Mr. Andres Acosta has been working with 10th and 11th graders during the period of COVID. He has some exciting news for you, and he wants to talk with you about how he's going to provide the services for you. And then we'll hear from Lois Green, our 7th, 8th, and 9th grade advisor. We're going to introduce to you Maria Gonzalez, our program assistant, and Annalisa Becerra, our administrative assistant, tomorrow. Mr. Acosta, welcome.
Hey guys, like Dr. Flores said, I am the 10th and 11th grade advisor. So if you're a rising 10th grader, which means if you're just in 9th grade, or a rising 11th grader, you're going to become very familiar with me. And so I know that I already worked with some of you. Certainly if you were in 10th grade, I'm going to continue working with you as an 11th grader. But what I would say to look forward to this upcoming school year for both grade levels is we're going to start narrowing down those college choices that you guys have, narrowing down that list to those 5 or 6 potential schools, which I will continue to narrow down into senior year. Preparing, getting college credit during high school, talking about AP courses, talking about those dual credit courses. And it's going to be very important because I look forward to working with you guys and walking you through the process of what is different and what is going to return to normal. So what do I mean by that? So COVID upended a lot of the ways that a lot of these courses were traditionally delivered. And so they've had to modify. And all these organizations are now deciding whether they're going to keep those changes or if they're going to go back to pre-COVID policies. And so I look forward to working with you guys and figuring out, what is the new norm? How do we, as we return to COVID in person in the schools, how do we navigate that new situation? And so I look forward to that, to starting to narrow down those college options, those options to get college credit in high school, and also looking at those potential career options, figuring out what it is that you guys want to do when you're older. when you graduate from college? What do you want to study in college, and then what do you want to do once you do graduate from college, whether it is being a doctor or a lawyer or, really anything. I really look forward to providing you guys those options to explore those potential career paths and helping you figure out what it is that you want to do when you're older as an adult.
Thank you, Mr. Acosta. We also have Lois Green. I believe she's in her office at this moment, so we're going to video satellite into her office and see if we can contact her so she can give you a nice warm welcome for the rising 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. If any parents are out there, please remember that we're still accepting applications for the 2021-2022 school year. If you have any siblings, or you have any cousins or any relatives or any friends that you think may benefit from this fabulous program, please contact us and we'll make sure that we contact them. Let's see, Ms. Green, are you there somewhere?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Dr. Flores. Hello, everyone. I recognize some of the names that I see on the screen, and I want to commend you for being a part of our summer program. I currently am working with 7th graders, 8th graders, and 9th graders. And I know that most of you are already past that level, but that's good too. I want you to know that I'm going to be learning as you learn. So I will be learning to build, program, and code just like you're doing. We'll work on this together, and I'm learning from the guys who are running this. But at the same time, I just want to say that I'm glad to see that you're a participant. Most of you are high schoolers, so I've already met you or even assisted you in getting into the program. And again, I keep saying that I'm so glad that you chose to be a part of this. I just want to speak up and ask you to bring some of your friends into the program. We're still accepting students, so get a hold of us. We're very anxious to work with you and bring in your brothers and sisters or cousins, because we think this is a worthwhile program that you and they can benefit from. So that's all I've got to say. But again, welcome and hello. And thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Ms. Green, for that introduction.
Thank you, Ms. Green. I appreciate it. So, guys, these are your advisors for this coming year. Mr. Gilo, again, is your senior advisor for those of you that will be in 12th grade. Mr. Acosta for your 10th and 11th graders. And Ms. Green for your 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. I do want to make one note, folks, regarding weather-related outages, because we moved into this new virtual world, this new virtual reality and this e-learning. We understand that the weather we're having recently and the weather we're going to be having this week may preclude you being on internet. And that's going to happen. And so I want to give you a couple of tips if that happens. The first thing is, if for some reason we lose internet, here at the university, which I don't think we will, but you never know. We will send a blast email to you or text. We will get in touch with you somehow to let you know how much time we may need to get back online. In that event, please just hang tight, review the workshop, review the stuff in your envelopes, your learning kits, and your learning folders. Now, if you happen by chance to lose power or you lose internet service, no problem. If you'll text Mrs. Gonzalez or you'll phone our office, we'll put up those phone numbers for you today. Please let us know that you're out of power, and you'll come on as soon as we can, and we will utilize our virtual conference room to catch you up. Okay, so no worries about that, but we do realize that may happen. So moving into the agenda, the third portion of the agenda is going to be Summer Robotics Academy pretest. And we're going to talk about objectives and outcomes as well. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
And the next one.
Yeah, 1 second.
And then what you have.
So we can get So guys, thank you so much for holding. What we're going to do is I'm going to introduce each section that we're going to talk about today, and if that section does not include me, I'm going to reintroduce Mr. Acosta and Mr. Gilo to talk about their portion. I just want to let you know that they are your major contributors and your major hosts today. I am not. I am here to simply say hello, make sure everything's running well, talk to you about our norms, and teach you the lessons on robotic science. So to begin with, I want to let you know that we're going to be looking at a pretest, and I believe there's a slide for that. Give me 1 second. Next. Okay. So what we're going to do today, guys, this week, excuse me, not today, is we're going to have objectives and outcomes. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we're going to teach you, I'm going to teach you 3 different areas of robotic science today. Robotic science, programming, and coding. And by the end of this week, you're going to be able to list at least 3 engineering degrees that include the study of robotic science, and you're going to do that with 100% accuracy. Number 2, we're going to ask that you define programming in very simple words with no less than 80% accuracy. And 3, we're going to define programming in simple words with no less than 80% accuracy. Now, no worries, this is not going to be a paper and pencil test. I'm not going to be there to make sure that you're not cheating. This is basically going to be a fun, engaging game that we're going to play that will allow you to demonstrate what you've learned and see if you've met those outcomes of 100%, 80%, and 80%. So those are your objectives and outcomes. You're going to learn those 3 things before this week's over. Next slide, please. So I'm going to turn this over now to Mr. Acosta and Mr. Gilo, and they're going to talk with you a little bit about your MBOT Ranger.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. And while we're transitioning here and Mr. Acosta's joining me, I just want to take this time real quick to ask everyone if you can hear us, if you need us to turn or adjust the microphone. I'm going to put up our camera here. So if you can hear me, if everything's fine, just let me know in the chat. You can either type in the YouTube chat or in the chat for Zoom, because we are also live on YouTube right now. If you go to youtube.com and you type in on the search UHD Talent Search, that will be available for you to share with your family and your friends and anyone else that wants to join us. We'd be happy to have them. And so here's Mr. Acosta again, and ignore the green screen behind us. That was one of our technical difficulties that we're working on. It takes a lot to put a production like this on, and we decided to really scale it up this time around, which is the reason why we ran a little bit behind, but we plan on making it up. So let's go ahead and talk about the MBOT Ranger. Each of you came to UHD and you picked up this kit. You may have looked inside, you may have rummaged around a little bit. Some of you I know were very curious and were very excited to jump right in, to which I had to explain to a couple people, don't build it yet, okay? I do realize we have some in here that joined us last year, but this is going to be a little bit different. There are some other opportunities that we wanted to extend to you, so stick around. Even if you did build this robot last year, please don't skip ahead. We plan on also using those that have built this last year to be mentors to those that have not.
And so what is the MBOT Ranger? What are we going to be building this week? And so I guess let's start off with a little bit of how this came about. So we always have a summer program for Talent Search students. And it's traditionally a math camp where you come to UHD and we help you prepare for your math courses for your following school year. Last year, we decided that we wanted to switch it up and we wanted to offer a STEM-based academy. But as we were in the process of planning that, COVID happened. And it was, as we know, out of the question for us to meet physically. And so we got to thinking as a team as how can we still offer a STEM-based program to our students, to our participants this summer. And so through a lot of thinking, a lot of deliberation, a lot of meetings, what we ended up arriving is we wanted some type of project-based academy. And project-based being that we'll give you everything that you need, and over the course of a week, we're gonna work on this project, and by the end of the week, we'll have this project completed. And so what we decided is it'd be really cool to do something robotics related. And as we looked for what that robot would be, we found the MBot Ranger. And so why did we end up going with this one over other robots? If you look on Amazon and you type in robots for coding or anything, there's going to be such a wide variety of robots that you can choose from. The reason we chose this one specifically is because the quality of the pieces, there's several reasons. Reason number one, the quality of pieces that you get when we built this. When we start building it, guys, you're going to see this is an aluminum like heavy duty metal base that this robot is built on. Like if you crash it, if you drop it, don't, but if you do, it's probably going to be okay. And so when you saw a lot of these other robots, it was very plastic based, almost like Legos, and this one was just like on another level in terms of the materials that it used. Another reason was the coding software that it comes with the MBot. Now we're going to get into that in a few days when we actually start going over, once we build the robot, when we actually start coding it, we're going to go a little bit more into the coding software. But you're able to code this robot through a software that MBot, the company that makes the MBot Ranger, is called MakeBlock, a coding software that MakeBlock lets the people who buy the robot use. It is completely free. You guys don't have to pay for it. We'll just have to download the apps, and we'll walk you through that in a few days. And so it's a very easy to learn, very friendly coding software that you guys are going to be able to apply to actually code this robot to do all sorts of things. And then to build off of that, reason number three was what you can actually do with this robot once you code it. As we build it, I'm going to go over the pieces that specifically the electric components of the robot in terms of how it sees, how it senses. This robot can hear, it lights up, it can make sounds, it can dance, it can do all sorts of things. And once we get into the coding portion, guys, it's really limitless what you can do with the coding and what you choose to code. So that was really a goal of ours, is to teach you how to code and then give you the platform for you to express your creativity through the robot. And so you're going to definitely see that by the end of the week, and probably show it off during the showcase if you'd like.
Yeah, so we should probably talk about what's on the screen here. You know, we have this application that we want you to download. If you don't have a smartphone, let us know. There are ways to code this robot through the computer, and so we can walk you through that as well. But what's really cool, and like Mr. Acosta was touching on, is that it's really limitless on what you can do with the sensors and the lights, the obstacle avoiding, the line following, the self-balancing sensors that are on this robot. And you really, after we're done with this academy, feel free to take it apart and build these other two variants you see on the screen, because it actually is pretty cool the way it changes the mobility, what you can do with this robot. It moves really fast. With that one you see on the bottom left, it's kind of jittery, but it's kind of fun too.
To expand on that, I didn't mention that this robot is actually, you can build 3 different robots from it. The one we're going to build is the one on the upper left, the Ranger, the one that looks like a tank. But it does have other configurations that behave differently and can be coded differently just because of the nature of how they're built. The structure of it is really cool. Certainly those of you that attended last year that are building the Ranger for a second time, you'll have the components to build one of these other variants and have 2. And for those of you, like Mr. Gilo said, at the end of the week you want to try out these other variants, you can break it down and build one of the other ones and explore all of that as well.
Okay, so do we want to go ahead and start building on the robot?
I think we're okay. Let's go over some of these things. I think
Okay. So, in the interest of not getting too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the learning format. Um,
I'll be happy to start that. If you'll pull up
Perfect.
the learning format slide, guys, I'll go over that with you.
Sure. Can you see it, Dr. Flores?
Yes, but it's a gallery, so let me change that.
Araceli, to answer your question real quick, if you're not home yet, you have a little bit more time because Dr. Flores is going to go over the learning format. So hopefully by the time that we're finished here, if those that have expressed, some sentiments that they're not being, you wouldn't be able to start building just yet, that's okay. You do have a little bit more time. Yes. We also have a YouTube recording. And so what you can do after this is the YouTube video should be up on our UHD Talent Search channel for you to view if you have to step out at any time. That way you are able to catch up and build your robot and learn about the coding and programming as well.
We definitely would like for you guys to be here with us and for us to build it together. But if for some unforeseeable reason you can't follow along, like Mr. Gilo said, that video will be on our YouTube channel. That link will be in that in the Dropbox links we sent you, which we'll go over in just a few minutes. But you'll be able to play it back. So, and you'll be able to review anything that we went over today.
Right.
Thank you, guys. So like I said earlier, guys, you do have copies of the agenda. However, we are mixing it up a little for you just to keep your attention. And number two, to make up some time that we lost. The important thing is that we start to assemble these robots. But let's talk a little bit about how we're going to learn and how we're going to assemble these robots. If you look at the left-hand side of the slide, that says each of us make a difference. Don't forget, guys, every one of you make a difference and contribute to something in this world, in school, in your family, in our program. We all make a difference. And together, we make change. So let's remember that why you're in talent search. You're in talent search because you're an individual who wants to make a difference with your life. You want to go to college, you have an interest in it, you want to do well in school. And when you do that, and we all have that mindset together, we can make a huge change. So just remember that. Let's talk about our learning format today and this week. I've chosen to teach you, and let me tell you why I'm teaching you, and I took this over. I love to teach. It's my favorite thing to do. I was a school teacher for 10 years. I taught elementary school, middle school, and high school, and I was a school principal. And so I'm very much into making sure that our learning format is fun for you, and it's engaging, and that you'll like it. And by the looks of it and by the responses we had last year, you did. So we tweaked it a little because we want to continue to make it really good for you and you're worthwhile. So today and this week, the learning format's going to be a demonstration of learning method. What does that mean? That means that research suggests that the best way you learn as a student in high school is to be able to do what you're asked to do with your hands. Not all of us are visual learners. Not all of us are auditorial learners. Many of us are kinesthetic learners. We learn with our eyes, our ears, our mouth, our fingers, and we like to build things. So you're going to be building a robot. And with that robot, you're going to learn about what that means to build a robot through e-learning. And what is e-learning? It's just another fancy word for us doing a Zoom with you right now. Okay, it's virtual learning, it's e-learning. There's so many other terms for it. But I chose e-learning because I thought it was kind of cool to put the small case of e there. Okay? It's kind of silly, but it's fun. And we're going to make sure that our robotic engineers, that will be Mr. Gilo and Mr. Acosta and Ms. Green, are going to ensure that you have 100% success. And how are we going to do that? We're going to do that by providing you step-by-step instructions. And our robotic engineers are not going to move forward until everybody in our cohort has mastered the skill and the step. We're not going to leave anybody behind. So by that, in order to break that up and to help you learn a little bit about the science of robotics and a little bit about programming and the introduction of coding and the introduction for you. They're gonna be mini lessons that are gonna be presented by myself and Miss Green throughout this week's demonstration learning method. What does that mean? Doesn't mean it's time for you to go to the restroom and take a break and go to the refrigerator. That's not what it means. What it means is I'm going to give you about a 10-minute lesson, and that's it, guys. So it's going to come and it's going to go, and it's going to be very to the point. We're not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to tell you what it is, what you need to know, and why we're doing it. And I want you to internalize that. So when somebody says, well, why are you building that robot over there? You're going to be able to tell them why you're building it and how you built it and what methods and what types of engineering degrees you can get with it. So it's going to be really cool. Now, what about some of you who maybe might be missing a little bit of this week? Maybe I think one person just called in or texted in that they were running late. You know, that's okay. I appreciate you letting the robotic engineers know that. And those are your advisors. I just like that term, robotic engineer. It sounds so fancy, doesn't it? Rather than advisors. So they're going to be able to, no worries. If you just let them know that you're running late or you don't understand something or you need extra help with something, no problem, my friend. We're going to have a one-on-one personalized assistant in our virtual conference room for you with being on Zoom. We'll set that up either before class, after class, maybe in the evenings if you need in the evenings. So if I can get one of these robotic engineers to do that, or me to do that. But we will give you step-by-step instructions in the event that you need extra help. Don't sweat it. We're all going to build a beautiful robot, and we're going to be able to make it, program it and code it so we can all be successful. I see that you already know this, but please use that raise hand feature in the Zoom to ask any questions that you might have or to ask us to slow down. Being in a virtual environment is very different than sitting in a classroom where I can see you or the advisors or the robotic engineers can see that you might be struggling. So use that raise the hand feature or use that chat session. Let us know what's going on. And either we'll get to it right away or we'll have one of our assistants make sure that that's documented. And we guarantee you we will answer all of your questions by the end of the day. And our last learning format is going to be our Friday showcase day. Okay, what does that mean? Well, I think did the advisors already go over the kit, the learning kit with everybody? Did they?
Sorry, Dr. Flores. No, we have not.
Okay, great. So I'm not going to get into that because that's their portion, but I will tell you that Friday we're going to have a showcase. What does that mean? That means that you're going to have the opportunity to demonstrate what you made any way you want, as long as you use the principles that we're going to be teaching you this week. And I have some really big surprises up my sleeve for you. So just make sure that you pay attention because now I'm not asking you, I'm not forcing you to be in this showcase. We're giving you the opportunity to demonstrate what you've learned. And I want you to be proud of what you built this week. I want you to make sure that you tell everybody that you built this with your own hands because you went to a robotics summer academy that was sponsored by Talent Search at University of Houston downtown. So it's wonderful, guys. It's wonderful that you have your very own robot. They're going to get into it, but Friday, expect our showcase. And like I said, I have some wonderful surprises up my sleeve, and I might even have some more. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. We are having our own technical difficulties again, but it happens. It happens. It's the first day, so I appreciate everybody being patient with us while we work those out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the robot kit. And so we do have another camera angle here that we're going to pull up. Is it okay, Dr. Flores, if we unpin you from? Okay. Okay.
No, not unpin me.
Okay. So let us grab our kit real quick.
I have it ready.
Okay.
So I'll go down that list.
All right, so we're gonna put our overhead cam here.
All right, guys. Everyone can see that. You should be able to see my hands on a yellow mat.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you, Zoe, for letting us know. And so, last week, or at some point within the last few weeks, you, with your parents, or maybe it was just your parents, came to the UHC University, and you guys picked up a robot kit. It was a gift bag with a bunch of stuff in it. And so what we want to do right now is actually look at what's inside that gift bag. And so it would probably help a lot, guys, if you guys can go ahead and grab that gift bag. If you have it nearby, go ahead and grab it. And I'm going to pull things out of the bag. I'm not going to have it on the screen, all of it at once, because it's a lot. It's not all going to fit. But I'm going to be pulling things out of it, and I'm going to be telling you what it is and what it's for. And we'll go through every single thing that's in there. I would assume that some of you, if not all of you, have already gone through the learning kit. But I want to go through it specifically and talk to you about it. So the first thing I want to go over, guys, the first thing I'm going to pull out is this robot kit, the MBot Ranger. This is a blue and white looking box. And so this is the central component of everything we're doing this week. It's the box that contains the MBot Ranger. And so when you open it, this is what you see. This is some of the electrical components, some of the building components. Everything that you see on here is going to, in one way or another, go on your robot. We're going to use it to assemble and build the Ranger. And so you'll just see an assortment of pieces. Now, we do have a toolbox that we included in the learning kit. And we're going to go over that in a second. The reason I bring that up is because this box was filled with more pieces, and I'm going to show you where the rest of those pieces went. But in here, guys, what I do want to make sure that you have before we move forward is when you open this robot kit, I want to make sure that everyone got 2 sets of batteries. And so these didn't come with the robots. We had to go through and put them into the MBot Ranger box. And so for some reason, we forgot to include it in your robot box, the MBot Ranger box. We definitely want to know because you're going to need these batteries to operate and turn on the MBot Ranger. So just go ahead and open it up, make sure that it's in there. If they're not in there, we're going to figure something out, and we're going to get these batteries to you. I'm 99% confident that every single one of you has batteries, but just, in the event that something happened. If nobody's saying anything in chat, I am assuming that you do have batteries in here. So,
I do want to make sure also that it's not just the batteries. If you notice any missing parts at all, please let us know. That Dr. Flores posts this in the chat. We will need to make arrangements to fix that if you are missing any parts or batteries or anything inside of your learning kit. Thank you.
like I said, everything should be there, but in the event that it's not, please let us know. Like Dr. Flores was saying earlier, every single person who's attending this academy will, by the end of the week, have a completed and working Ranger. So if anything happened, let us know. We are committed to making sure that you have a Ranger by the end of the week. By the end of the day, on Thursday and Friday, you will have a Ranger. And so I'm going to go ahead and close this back up. We'll revisit this when we start building. And I'm going to set this to the side out of camera angle, out of camera view. And I'm going to pull up the next thing. The next thing in our learning kit that I want to talk about is this toolbox. Every single learning kit has a toolbox. Now, why do you have a toolbox? When we were deciding on what robot to build, we ordered them all so we could build them and really get a sense for the experience of what it was like to build it. And as much as we liked the Ranger, the only drawback was the number of pieces that were included in the kit and how small some of those pieces were. And so when we were talking, like, how would this academy look like? How would we tell the participants which piece to go grab? And so what we came up with is a toolbox. So each of you gets to keep this toolbox. It's 100% for you. But if you open it up, what you will see is that it is numbered. And so as we're building it, guys, what is going to happen, and you're going to get used to it. It might seem weird at first. It might take some getting used to, but you will all understand by the end of it. When we reference a certain piece, we're going to reference a number, and the number is going to correlate to one of the slots in this toolkit. So if I say, go to slot number 2 and grab one of the 8mm screws that is in there, you'll go in there, you'll open this pouch up, and you'll grab some of the screws. And so this is so that we're all on the same page, so that we all know the exact pieces that we are referencing when we need them and as we need them. And so it's going to cut down a lot of that time having to sift through pieces because they're already in a designated place. I built each of these myself. Again, as we go through them, if anything doesn't line up with what you see on the camera, let us know. We'll figure it out with you. We'll make sure the pieces are in the right place. I built these myself. I'm pretty confident they're all in the right place, but accidents happen. And so as we're building, I'm going to make sure that we all have the same pieces. If not, we're going to make sure that your box looks the same, but it should. So while some of the pieces are in the actual robot kit, everything else that you need is going to be in this toolbox. It's very important, guys, that if you pull anything out as you're looking at it right now, feel free. It is your toolbox. Make sure you put it back in the exact same slot, because it's going to be very important that we're able to reference pieces in a quick and efficient manner. And so if you grab a piece, it's okay, look at it, but make sure you put it back where it goes. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to type them in the chat, and I'll answer them as I go. Because there are a lot of components in this learning kit, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and we all understand what we're looking at. The next thing I wanted to look at is I wanted to pull out the pencil bag. Inside your bag, your learning kit, you'll see a pencil bag. It is branded UHD, University of Houston Downtown Educational Talent Search. It's very nice. But if you open it up, we've included a lot of talent search incentives. And so I'm just going to pull them out one at a time so you guys can get a sense for what you have. And yours might look a little bit different, but in general, it's going to have these things. And so the first thing I pulled out, we included a UHD pop socket for your phone. Just for you, our students love these. These are always one of the incentives that is quick to go. When we're in the schools. So feel free to put that on one of your tablets or your iPhones or smartphones. We also have a lanyard. When you guys get back into the schools and you have your school ID, I think it'd be pretty cool to attach it to one of these UHD lanyards. Or, use it as you see fit, maybe for your house key or, whatever you need it for. Let's see, what else is in here? We also have a USB jump drive. And so this is, do you remember how many gigs this is, Mr. Gilo?
They may range from 8 to 16 gigabytes, but they're most likely 8 gigabytes is what you have.
Yeah, and so these are awesome. I like the way they look. This almost metallic red. And so this is going to be very useful in school in the fall, guys. When you have to work on a project at home and then take it to school, you're going to be able to use these. So there you go. We also have included a UHD face mask. And so, it seems that people aren't using them as often, but there's certainly many people who are still using them out of habit. I myself use it every time I go out. And I plan to for the foreseeable future. And so it's a UHD talent search mask. And they're very comfortable, they're very thin, very light. And so I like them a lot. It's one that I wear very frequently. We also have a number of pencils and pens. And so we have these mop pens. And so pen, But at the top, there you can use them to clean your almost like a microcloth. You can use it to clean your smartphone screen. So, mop pen. We also have a number of UHD pins. And there is a journal in here. We'll see that in a second. But feel free to take notes throughout this academy, guys, and whatever you see fit, especially during the curriculum portions. We're going to be learning about robotics and coding and programming. Certainly take notes. And then we also included an assortment of these color-changing mood pencils. I love these. And honestly, every student that I ever give one to loves it too. So they change colors with heat. And they all change into a different color. This one is green, it turns into yellow when exposed to warmth. This red one is an example. This one turns orange. I think these are really neat, guys. And we have a bunch. We're gonna go into the schools and we'll probably have more to hand out to you guys. But these are super cool. Also, we have a journal, and this is what I was referencing before. Feel free to take notes on this, guys. And if you don't, feel free to use it for whatever else you need it, whether it's in the fall to take notes or as a journal, as a personal journal. Use it as you see fit, but it is a very high quality leatherback journal with the UHD gator up front. And then, of course, the pencil bag. And so all of you should have, in general, all of these things in your pencil bag.
We had a question about the app, and remind us your name because it does say just iPhone on there, but if you could please type your name in there so that we know exactly who's in here. But yes, we talked about an app. We will probably go more in depth on exactly what you need to download. There are at least 2 or 3 applications to download, whether you're using well, thank you, Sherman. Whether you're using iOS or Android, you'll be able to program / code. I'm sorry, you'll be able to code your robot. Whether you use iOS or Android, the app, you can sort of look inside the MakeBlock box. I know that they do mention the MakeBlock app is available, but we're going to go in and show you exactly what that looks like via the App Store. We can probably do a share a screen, a mobile screen, and show you where to find those.
In terms of what you can expect, a lot of the coding that we're going to be doing this week is going to be probably towards the end of the day on Wednesday and definitely on Thursday. And so at some point before then, we're going to go over the apps to download. And the reason we're going to do that is because we want to make sure that your phone or your smart device is compatible. And so if in the event that it's not, we can talk about and troubleshoot other options so that you have those applications available to you. And so maybe at the end of the day today, for sure, maybe when we come in tomorrow morning, when we get together tomorrow morning, we'll go over those apps and how to download them and which ones they are.
Gentlemen, I apologize.
So to answer your question specifically, we haven't gone over specifically what those apps are, but we will soon.
Okay, and Dr.
Guys,
Flores.
Yeah, I want.
So,
1 sec, Andre. Dr. Flores is in.
I know it's hard for me to hear me because you don't have the headphones on, but I wanted to let you know that you will be getting a copy of this PowerPoint at the end, and all the PowerPoint slides that deal with the applications and the MakeBlock website. Those sites are listed on the slides, specific slides. So don't worry, we'll make sure you have them. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Flores. So I do want to mention that the approximate value of this learning kit that you'll get to keep, that you have in front of you, is approximately $250. And so it's not cheap. And we want to emphasize how important it is to properly store and put this robot learning kit away whenever you're done with it. It, like Mr. Costa mentioned, it is built out of metal. It is pretty robust, but while we're building it, it's very important that you store the materials and you properly put things away, and we'll go over that at the end of each day. But you want to have a dedicated area on as to where you want to build this. this robot. You want to have sort of it can be on the floor, it can be anywhere you'd like. That has sort of maybe a 3 foot by 3 foot. Is that what you would say, Mr. Costa? So I think that is important. There is a slide for what we're talking about, so we're going to go to that real quick. Let's see.
Previous.
The slide is, gentlemen, the slide is very generic. It just has a wall with a wooden floor and a small, simple desk.
Okay, got
That
it.
is just, yeah, that is just to let you know that you need some space. You need some space, okay? So just let me know what you need for the slides. That's to kind of keep you on track and where we're going. And I'm
Okay.
happy to say that we're back on track, guys. 2:45 is when this particular section. Thank you.
Okay, so fantastic. We're back on track as far as time goes. But we want to emphasize again, make sure you have a dedicated area and a desk on the floor. If you're putting it on the floor, make sure that you have an area as to where it's not a bunch of traffic going through. You don't want, little brother or sister knocking over a few of the bolts or kicking something away that is vital to building and coding this robot. Okay, so let's move on.
Well, we haven't gotten over the kit completely.
Okay, so we're actually gonna go over the rest of the kit, and then we're gonna talk about norms real quick, okay?
And so also included in your learning kit, guys, we want to include snacks for every day. Recognize in the afternoon you probably already had lunch, but we're not quite at dinner yet. And so at any point, if you feel hungry, we've included the Ziploc bag with a number of snacks. What we did, we included one water bottle. Feel free to open that at your discretion whenever you're thirsty. And we also included 5 random snacks. Not everyone's are the same, guys. Everyone got completely random snacks. If there's something you don't like by chance, maybe you can give it to a sibling or something, but it was 100% random. Everyone's got something different in their Ziploc bag. And so feel free to eat one a day, or if you want to eat everything today, I guess that's your prerogative. But feel free to snack as you see fit. Like I said, it's 1 snack per day, guys. So manage that how you see fit, guys. I definitely encourage you to eat 1 a day, but if anything in there looks really good and you can't resist, feel free.
I'm sorry, Dr. Flores?
Unless they've already eaten them?
Yes, unless you've already eaten them. There's a chance, and I did make sure to let you know. Maybe you wanted to share this with your family, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you saved it. Maybe you hid it from them. I don't know.
Another thing you'll find in your learning kit, guys, is this learning folder. Inside of this folder, there is one thing. And feel free to use this folder however you want after this academy. But inside this folder, you're going to find the MBOT Toolbox Ranger. The Ranger Legend. And so, if you notice, if you pull out your toolbox, guys, you'll notice that it lines up with your toolbox. And so, our plan is that you're able to use this legend in conjunction with what's in the toolbox, because we recognize that while it's numbered inside of this toolbox, you don't have any names. And so that's where the legend comes. So the way to read this, and where you'll get familiar with this, it's slot number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so it lines up pretty neatly, and it tells you what is in those slots specifically. What tools or what specific screws. When we were talking about there's a lot of pieces, you'll notice here there's 5 different types of screws, and some of them look very similar. And so here you'll be able to find what's in each slot and what size and what specific piece is it. And so we're going to be referencing this very frequently. Make sure you keep it in the folder. Like I said, in this academy, you can use that. After this academy, you can use that folder for whatever you want. But for this week, make sure you keep your legend in there so that we know where it is and we can reference it quickly and efficiently as we need it. again, guys, if you have any questions at all about anything that's I'm going over in this learning kit, feel free to type them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. Also, in every single one of your learning kits, we included a thank you letter from on behalf of the entire UHD Talent Search staff. And so some of you may have opened it. I made sure that I put it at the very top of each learning kit. So it was one of the first things that you saw. So some of you may have already opened it. If you haven't, feel free to look through it. I'm not going to open it. This one is sealed. It was an example. But you'll have a thank you card. And we really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your summer. Certainly, it's a busy summer for some of you, and for others, it might just be the time that you relax. But we really appreciate you guys taking time out of that, your time to learn about robotics with us and participate in this academy. And set that aside. And so, finally, we've arrived at the final two items. And so, the final two items, guys, are we've included a couple of t-shirts for you guys. The first t-shirt is this lime green, teal and lime green Talent Search shirt. On the front it is blank, but on the back we have our Trio Strong with the year when Trio was established, 1964. Talent Search specifically was established about a year or two later. I think it was 1965. And so, yeah, guys, Talent Search is almost 50 years old. More than 50 years old. That's about 55 years old. So this shirt is for you to wear whenever you want throughout this academy. We definitely welcome it. We also have a second shirt, guys. We went up to the UHD bookstore because we thought it'd be really cool if we bought you guys a college t-shirt. And so we went ahead and bought you guys a UHD Gators t-shirt. And so it's very cool. I will note about this one, guys, is that they didn't have any smalls in the bookstore. So if you told us you had a small, you were a small in t-shirt size, we bought you a medium. FYI, we didn't get your size wrong. They just didn't have any smalls available, but we wanted to get you a t-shirt. And so this is the UHD Gators t-shirt, and they're really cool. They're very comfortable. The only thing that we ask as far as these t-shirts, and Dr. Flores or Mr. Gilo, feel free to jump in whenever you want, is on Friday we have our Academy Showcase. So the only thing that we ask is that on Friday you wear one of these t-shirts. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we have a preference. There isn't one that we prefer you wear over the other, but wear one of the t-shirts we've included in this robot kit on Friday, and we'll make sure we remind you. Other than that, feel free to wear them throughout this week, but we definitely want you to wear one on Friday during the showcase.
Dr. Flores, is there a preference that you have as far as the t-shirts for the showcase?
Well, thank you for consulting with me. Absolutely not. In fact, I'm going to request from each of our participants that if you have the opportunity to turn your camera on, please turn your camera on. I'd like to see your face and put a face with a name. And we have the president possibly dropping in. We have my boss, the dean, possibly dropping in. And we have guests on YouTube from all over the TRIO programs in the state. Particularly Friday, I would like everybody, if you have the capability, to have your camera on, because you'll be showcasing what you built, and I want to see how handsome or how beautiful you look in that t-shirt as well. So no, I do not have a preference, and feel free to wear them every day if you want. It's up to you.
Great. Okay. So I see that some people typed that was the last thing they saw was the letter because it fell down to the bottom. But we do appreciate all of you joining us today and throughout the rest of the week for this pretty cool academy we have going on. Like I said, if you joined us before, we have some new cool things to share with you also about UHD. Now, just because you're a part of UHD Talent Search, I always try to emphasize this because I get questions all the time is, when I signed up for UHD Talent Search, does that mean I'm going to the University of Houston downtown when I graduate? The answer is no. You can come to UHD and we'll certainly show you around. We have tours whenever we do campus visits. UHD is one of those, but we exist to help you get to any college you want to get to. It could be all the way from community college all the way to Harvard University if that's where you want to go. So we don't discriminate against any other college, but we do have resources. We have things because by nature of us having our office at UHD and some of the cool, unique things about UHD, we certainly will show you around and what it has to offer, but we're never going to force you or push UHD upon you. But we wanted to give you some of these UHD Talent Search branded items because you are part of UHD Talent Search, and it is a prestigious program to be a part of, and we encourage everyone to put it on their resume because there's not, when you think about all the tens of thousands of different schools that are out there in the country, there's really only 400 and almost 450, I guess, talent search programs that are out there. So you're kind of in a spot that you can say I'm in a very exclusive program that helps me get into college. So it will help you to put this on your resume.
And so, guys, if you're following along with me and you're pulling things out of your learning kit, let's go ahead and put all that back into the learning kit so we know where it is. Certainly, for sure, the robot kit, the folder, and the toolbox we want back in the gift set. I guess the rest of it doesn't necessarily have to go in, but if you want to keep it all in one spot, feel free to go ahead and take this next few minutes to organize it back into the learning kit, into the bag that we gave you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, guys.
Perfect. And so again, this goes into making sure that you don't lose anything. So go ahead and put things in. Try, if you don't remember the way it was put in the bag, just sort of kind of play Tetris with it till you fit everything back into the bag that we handed you the kit in, the learning kit.
Guys, let me go ahead and interject a little bit here. I know the next section will be on the norms and the rules for what's going on, but while you're gathering your items and folding them neatly and placing them back in your learning bag, I would like to let you know that, this program has been around for 55 years, something like that. And every 5 years, guys, we have to rewrite this grant to make sure that we can continue to provide you the services that you ask us for. Well, this is the year we had to rewrite a new grant, which means that every 5 years, if the United States government doesn't like the grant we wrote, then they don't give us the money to have the grant, which means that I don't have a job, my staff doesn't have a job, and you don't get to have the services that we've been providing for you for the last 38 years. So I just wanted to let you know that it's winding down, and August 31st is the last day for the grant. I will know sometime in the middle of August whether or not that grant has been approved. Let's say a prayer for us, please, because I think this program's wonderful. It's a great opportunity. It helps everybody. I wish we had it when I was in school. Nobody told me anything about applying for financial aid. Nobody told me what classes I needed to take to be college ready. I was on my own, and you don't have to be. That's what you have your advisors for. That's why you have Mr. Gilo and Mr. Acosta and Miss Green. They're there to support you and hold your hand, whatever they need to do, get you out of high school and get you into post-secondary education. Okay, guys, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I thought you needed to know that there is a very slim possibility. I hate to say it, but you never know. You just never know until you get that letter that says congratulations. Kind of like those of you who are going off to college. You never know, until you open that envelope and you see that you've been accepted. So keep that in mind. And I want to let you know that Mr. Gilo was right in terms of once you're in talent search, you're always in talent search unless you perform or behave so egregiously that I have to let you go. Okay, but we have such great kids, such great students, such great participants. I don't anticipate that happening. So unless you move to a school out of the district or you move to a school that we don't service, I may have the opportunity to allow you to stay in the program and continue to receive our services under special circumstances and under special conditions. And if that's your instance, I don't think everybody needs to know that. You can contact me directly or one of your advisors, and they will be happy to contact me and let me know. So let's go ahead and please write down your questions, put them in the chat box. If we don't get to them right now, we'll make sure that one of our advisors, our robotic engineers, answer that for you. Okay. I love that term. I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to change your job titles, guys, to robotic engineers. Okay. So let's talk about norms now. Now, what are norms? It's not the guy on Friends, that sits at the bar, drinks all the beer all the time. What a norm is, they are attitudes, their beliefs, they are rules, so to speak. And so I have to I'm guilty. I'm guilty right now. I broke the first one. We didn't start on time, but we are going to end on time. Okay. And that happens, guys. These norms are just out here so we have a guideline of what behaviors we should expect while we're together and while we're working on this for the week. Another thing is I want to make sure that everybody treats each other with dignity and respect. And I know we're not going to have a problem with that because all of you are very respectful and dignified. That moves me into the next one is I want you to listen carefully because we're going to start talking soon. When Mr. Acosta and Mr. Gilo start assembling this robot, there's going to be a lot of virtual chatting because somebody's going to want something, somebody's going to have a question. We're going to have to stop. There's some overachievers like myself, and we want to jump ahead and we want to be first and we want to get as much done as we can. So I want everybody just to not interrupt other people, but give them their opportunity, give them their chance to ask those questions, give them that chance to clarify things because we don't know what's going. Maybe they have something in the room that's preventing them from listening or hearing like you and I can. Attendance is required, guys, and let me tell you why. This kit was very expensive. And this year, we wanted to make sure that we gave you a learning kit that was full of wonderful gifts that you could use. So if you have a special circumstance where you're not able to attend for a half a day or a day, I need you to please message me and we will talk privately. And if you have a good excuse, I can give you a couple. Last year, I think a young lady had she was a voting election monitor. That's a good reason to be out. Okay, you're doing some civic responsibilities. You're doing some civic duties. Now, if you can't be here because you're going to the water park and you bought that ticket last week, it's not a real good excuse. Okay, and so I'm not going to go to your house and grab your kit back. But I will have a conversation with you because when you accepted that kit, you made a commitment to be a part of this program. And we spend a lot of time and effort making sure that we give you the information that you need to be better at what you do and that you make good grades. And so, like I said, every situation's different. Every situation's unique. So I will take every situation and every special circumstance alone and by themselves. So because somebody got approved and somebody didn't, that's really nobody's business except yours. And so I can tell you in the past, everybody has stayed. Everybody didn't want to miss. But like I said, there are good reasons, and I'll be happy to support you with that. Okay. I want you to come prepared to learn. If your advisors and your robotic engineers ask you to do something in the evening, get it done because the more you fall behind, this whole robotic lesson for the week is very sequential. One concept builds on the other concept. It builds on this concept. It builds on this concept. It's like climbing a ladder. You can't miss any steps. You miss a step, what happens? You fall down or you fall behind. So that's why we have your virtual one-on-one, private, personalized video conference room for you to chat with your advisor or your robotic engineer or myself, where we can walk you through things and get you caught up. So the whole thing about the demonstration theory method is that in order to demonstrate a product that you're building, you have to have all the steps in place. It's like uh, building something or putting your TV together, but you forgot to plug it into the wall, or putting your new computer screen in and setting up your computer and you left out a step. It's not going to work. The same with the robot. It's not going to work. So it's okay. Things happen. Life happens. Something went wrong. You couldn't fix it. You couldn't stay with the group or with the gang. That's okay. Let us know. We're here to support you. I want everybody to be 100% successful by the end of this week. I want you to feel proud that you built a robot and that you show it off to everybody in your family because you deserve it. Okay. And I also want you to let you know that the chat box, and I want to thank you so much for using the chat box to ask these really great questions. But I want to remind you that it will be monitored. So I want you to keep language clean. I want you to be respectful and dignified of others, and use the chat box for learning purposes only. Okay. And that's all I'm asking you to do is start on time, we'll end on time, to treat each other with dignity and respect, and to listen carefully, and please don't interrupt your peers. But please try to attend every single day. And if you can't, I'm here. Let me know why. Come prepared to learn. That means when your advisors say, I need you to have everything set up by the time we meet, please try to have it set up by the time we meet. Okay, it's not asking too much of you. And that the chat box will be monitored. So, and you can private chat me. You can private chat the robotic engineers. You can private chat if you need to, okay? If you don't want everybody to know your business. So I wanted to let you know that, first of all, about the grant. But we are here, guys. We are determined, we're dedicated, and we're downtown, and we're here to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. So what we're going to do now is take a short break, and then we will come back. This break is going to be about 15 minutes, okay?
Yeah, we know we've given you a lot of information just now, guys. Really take the next 15 minutes to relax and digest that information. If you have any questions, type them in the chat. We'll be here monitoring it. But we'll see you in about 15 minutes. We'll say 3:15.
Yeah, 3:15 shall work. If you have any questions, let us know, and we will answer them in the chat. Like Dr. Flores mentioned, we'll be monitoring YouTube and Zoom as well, just in case your family or friends have any questions and they want to ask in YouTube. All right?
We'll see you guys shortly.
In 15 minutes, okay? Okay, we'll give it just another minute or two for people to get settled in and come back before we start talking about building the robot. And also, I do want to make sure to mention that we will be fixing lighting and everything. So if you hear noises or see kind of weird things going on with the camera or lights, we know, and we will be actively trying to address those things as we proceed throughout the week.
Okay, guys, I assume everyone has returned to their work area, shall we say. And so what we wanted to go into next, we have a couple of more things we want to talk about, and then we're going to actually start assembling some of the robot today. But we wanted to give you a sort of timeline as to what you can expect every day. Where are we going to be along the construction process of this robot, day by day. And so, and in summary, by the end of the day today, what we're hoping is we're going to have a frame to our Ranger. It's not going to have wheels yet. It's not going to have a lot of these other extra components, but it's certainly going to be a frame, is what we're hoping. By the end of the day tomorrow, your robot's going to start taking more shape. It's going to have a lot more pieces put onto that frame. It's going to have some of the wheels attached, some of the sensors are going to be attached, and you're going to be able to start seeing a lot more of your robot taking shape. By the end of the day on Wednesday, it's really what's left in construction is very minor. It's all going to be the electrical component. That's almost a day in of itself. So we can talk about each of these components, what they do, how they work, and then we can spend time delicately assembling them onto the robot. And so what we're hoping is by the end of the day on Wednesday, you are going to have a completed Ranger. You're going to be able to, it's going to be able to turn on, and it's actually going to be ready for coding. But it's going to look exactly like what's on the cover of the box. And then on Thursday is when we're going to really dive headfirst into the actual coding. We're going to learn a ton of coding. We're going to learn about how to code these different components, how to utilize all the different components that the Ranger utilizes. And we're actually going to learn how to code. And we're probably going to have time, well, we're definitely going to have time where we're giving you instruction and teaching you how to code, but we're also going to have time where you're going to have some free time to play around and come up with some of your code. And that is in preparation for the showcase on Friday. If you choose to participate, and again, I don't believe they have to, feel free to correct me. Yeah, it's completely optional. We encourage you to, but it is optional, where you're going to be able to show off some of these codings that you can do, some of these code that you have come up with. And it's going to be really cool, guys. I'm really looking forward to teaching you guys coding. You can get super complicated and intricate with it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But just in summary, by the end of the day on Wednesday, we're going to have the robot complete. And by the end of the day on Thursday, you're going to know how to code it.
Excellent. So let's review, each one of you should have reviewed or at least gotten an email with something called the e-handbook. It was a Dropbox link emailed to your email address that we had on file. If you don't have it, let me know right now in the chat. I will post it in the chat if someone does not have it. In the Zoom chat anyway.
I say let's go ahead and put it in the chat anyway first, so they
there?
can reference it really fast.
Okay.
And we're all on the same page.
Give me just 1 second and I will put that in the chat.
And so we're going to go over everything that was in this Dropbox, so you guys are familiar with these items. And we'll go ahead and post that link in just a few seconds. And so we're about to post it in the chat, guys, and it is posted. So go ahead and click on that link, guys. When you click it, And we should probably share our screen here, Mr. Gila, so they can
Okay.
see what we see.
Bring it over here.
Yeah, there we go. And so when you click on that link, it's going to take you to Dropbox.com, and it's going to take you to the folder, the e-handbook that we created. And what you should be seeing is what you're seeing on the screen right now. So we'll go through each of these items one by one. So item number one, guys, it's the flyer that we sent to you guys in the initial email when we were telling you about this academy. So feel free to click it so we can take a look at that flyer. It contains all information that you already know, the dates, the times, what we're going to be going over, that sort of thing. The second thing is we have the Robotics Academy agendas. And so the agendas have been slightly modified since then, but in general, they're very similar to the ones we're going to be using. And so feel free to look through them and read kind of a general timeline of what this week is going to look like. How much time we're going to be dedicating to constructing, when you can expect some of these teaching, some of these instruction sessions, coding. It'll give you a general timeline, a more specific timeline than the one I just provided for you a moment ago, as to what this week is going to look like. And like I said, it's subject to change. It's not an exact. We're very fluid and we adapt to the circumstance.
Like today.
Exactly. The third item, guys, it's the Toolbox Legend, and it's the exact legend that you have in that learning folder that is in your learning kit. It's just an electronic version. So if you prefer the paper version, feel free to use that one. If you prefer an e-version, it's right here for you. But they are the exact same thing. And even in the event that you lose the physical legend, it's right here for you if you want to download it and print it out again.
And then the fourth thing we have, I'll just go ahead and mention the fourth and fifth thing. If you're interested in viewing the YouTube channel, of course, we do have these pop-ups that happen every 30 minutes. You'll see our social media. We'd like you to go to our Facebook account, go to our Twitter, go to our YouTube accounts, and also join our Discord. So these little rotating banners will be going on throughout the week for you to be able to follow these different accounts. But we wanted to provide you the Zoom invitation link should you lose that, and also the YouTube channel for UHD Talent Search, just in case you want to share that with your family and friends.
Feel free to bookmark this page just for this week so you can reference back to it quickly.
Participants, let me just say that
Next.
Flores loves to give away incentives. So I'm going to let the robotic engineers kind of keep track of who is following us the most on Instagram and who is following us the most on Facebook and who is following us the most on the other social media sites that we have, and pick a winner for the person who is following us the most, commenting the most, and possibly give them a really, really nice gift for that, being our social media king or queen.
That's great. Thank you so much, Dr. Flores. We do keep posts up to date on social media, and as we start to get to somewhat of a normal and back into your schools and actually being able to take you on actually physical campus visits again, you'll have the opportunity to view some of these really cool videos and pictures that we take whenever we go to these events.
And guys, I don't know if I have time to mention this, but next year is going to be an entirely different look because, of course, this all depends on where we are with the variant right now. And because the population that's at risk right now is your population and younger. And so we're just going to have to keep a close eye on it. But in the event that that we're still able to be in your schools, my plan is to have a hybrid of virtual and face-to-face, not only advising sessions with you, but college campus visits, maybe 2 in person, maybe 2 virtual, and 1 cultural awareness event that we usually do, which will be theater, musicals, opera, symphonies, something. One face to face and one virtual as well. So we're gonna try to do the hybrid thing depending on what the COVID variant does. So just keep that in mind, guys. Okay?
Thank you so much, Dr. Flores. So I fully expect us to, follow the right procedures, and Dr. Flores will be there to sort of guide us into what we're going to be doing for the next school year. But I certainly hope to get back into each one of your schools, and we'll see what happens. But given what's gone on in the past, we're able to still make things work. As you see here, we're now doing a STEM Academy completely via Zoom. So who knows? Maybe in the future we can actually conduct this in person. Um, I would love to.
You guys, let me make one last comment. And I promise I'll let you get on with this. But when your robotics engineers or your advisors give you a survey to fill out, we're trying to keep these surveys as simple as possible. But let me tell you something. We really, we read every one of those surveys. And let me tell you why. Because I want to make sure that each time we have a presentation like this, that it gets better and better, and not for us, for you. I want to make sure that we're giving you the information and the opportunities that you need, not what we think you need. So unless you speak up and unless you put your thoughts down in writing on the surveys that we ask you, then I have no idea. I just think everything's fine, everything's great, and we're going to continue to do things what I think we need to be doing, or this advisors think what we need to be doing. And it may be totally off base with what you really, need. So take advantage of that. I know your counselors don't have time at school to sit down with you and talk and visit like we have time with you to do that. And so that's what our purpose is. Our purpose is here to guide you. So feel free to answer more than one interview question, one survey question in one sentence. Go into depth if you need to, or phone me, or phone one of your advisors if you have a lot to suggest. Because to be honest with you, I don't know the latest, greatest technology out there. Maybe you do. So we're working on all that. And I have to thank those of you that are turning in those surveys, because we're getting some fabulous feedback from you. One of which is, I wish you had different times. I wish you had different hours of advising, because I'm in school all day. And then I have practice after school. And when I get home, I'm beat, I'm worn out. Those kind of things I need to know, because then we have the opportunity to rearrange our schedules. So you have an advisor that may be able to talk with you, or a tutor that may be able to support you or help you in the evening when you've gotten home, when you've had dinner, when you're ready to start your homework. So I'm willing to be flexible, and I'm willing to change things the way we used to do things in order to meet your needs. So just please remember that the surveys are really important for me, because I want to help you. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to start building, right?
That's
Okay.
right.
So be careful with your learning kit, because we're going to get those kits out again, and make sure that you have that space we talked about, either on the floor, on a desk. Make sure you have a dedicated space that will not have a lot of traffic running through, so that you're able to build this without interruption or someone kicking around some pieces or parts.
So yeah, we are getting into the main event here, guys. Right? We're actually going to start building it. So this is what you have been patiently waiting for. So what I'm going to ask is you go ahead and go into your learning kit, and you pull out your toolbox. We're going to be actually, I'll wait for the camera to go to the overhead so you guys can see. There we go. And so make sure that you pull out your toolkit and set that aside. I want you guys to go ahead and pull this robot kit as well. We're going to be using this today as well. Let's set that aside. And then your third thing, guys, if you want the paper version, and remember we did send you an e-version in the e-handbook, feel free to pull out this legend. Now, if you want the paper version, it's right here, pull it out. If you prefer the electronic version, pull that up right now, and the Dropbox link is still in the chat. So go ahead and click that again if you need it. So these are the three things that we need right now, guys. It's the toolbox, the robot kit, and the legend. And this is what we're going to use to build the first portion of our robot. Now, before we actually get to the building, I want to emphasize a couple of things. I think we've already talked about them, but I want to emphasize them. Is that we don't want to move on to the next step without everyone having completed that step. The reason is it can be very complicated, and we don't want to leave anyone behind and leave them fending for themselves. So if at any point you have any questions or you need any help, type it in the chat or unmute yourself and let us know, and we'll show you that specific step as many times as you need to. The second thing, guys, is that we all learn at a different pace. And while some things may be hard for some of us, it may be easy for others. And different steps are different. You know, this part might be hard for you, but the next part is easy. And for another person, it might be the opposite. That's okay. But I recognize that it might be tempting to move on to the next step. The thing about this robot, it can be very complicated. And in building it, and we've noticed it with students, we've noticed it when we built it, it can be kind of confusing building it. And sometimes when you build it wrong, it's not apparent until 3 or 4 steps later, where the things aren't lining up exactly the way they're supposed to. And then what that means is that you have to disassemble it like 3 or 4 steps and rebuild it the correct way. And so if you do choose to go ahead, I mean, I would prefer that you stay with us, but if you do, please be very intentional and deliberate in terms of reading the instructions and assembling the robot, because like I said, some of these mistakes you're not even going to notice until 3 or 4 steps later, where this other piece, you know, and then suddenly you look at it and you're like, whoa, this doesn't look right. It's happened to some students, it happened to us when we were building it. It's just the nature of the robot. It can be complicated. With that, let's go ahead and get started. And so I'm going to put my legend off to the side, somewhere I can reference it quickly. And the first thing, guys, is I'm going to want you to go to your robot kit. Inside of this robot kit, and if you're not ready, please let us know in the chat, and I'll take it a little slower. But at this point, I assume you have gathered your materials in your work area. And I want you to open this robot, the MBot Ranger kit. When you open it up, this is what you'll see. You'll see some tires, you'll see the actual brain of the robot, but what I want right now is what's in this box. On the lower left-hand side, there is a box. I want you to pull that out, set it to the side, and I want you to close this box up again, because we'll come back to it in a few steps, but right now we don't need it anymore. So inside of this box, guys, if you open it up, what you'll see is 2 mortars. There's going to be 2 of these mortars. So like I said, these are the mortars. This is what's going to be attached to the wheels of the Ranger. And you can set this box aside. We don't really need it because we're going to use both of these pieces. This is the actual mortar of the Ranger. This is going to attach into the wheels, and it's going to attach into the battery, and this is what's actually going to cause your robot to move forward, left, you know, whatever direction you choose. And so there's going to be 2 of these in there. So set that aside. That's what we need right now. And then I want you to go into your toolbox. Inside of your toolbox, in slot number 16, you know, and this is, it might take a little bit of getting used to, but you will get used to it. Slot number 16, they're all numbered, so I want you to go into slot number 16. And in slot number 16, there are 3 different types of wires. The type of wire that I want you to go ahead and grab looks like this. It's the one with the white tips at the end. There's a USB-like cable, there's an Ethernet-like cable, but the one that you need to grab right now is the one with the white tips at the end. Go ahead and undo that little wire, that's holding them together, because I believe there are 3 in here and you only need 2 right now. So we're not going to need everything that is in this bundle right now. Like I said before, there are 3 in here. What we need are just 2 of them. So you're going to do in that bundle, and you'll notice, guys, one end is bigger than the other end. So I want you to grab 2 of these and set them aside, because we're going to use them in a second. And I want you guys to put that 3rd wire back into slot 16 so we can grab it when we need it later on. So just to reiterate, there was 3 wires in that bundle. Just grab 2 of them. It was in slot 16, and it's the wire with the white tips at the end. Once you put that wire back into slot 16, guys, what I want you to do is go ahead and close your toolbox. Make sure it shuts closed. We don't want any of these pieces to go lost or missing, and set that aside. So I'm going to give everyone about 15 seconds to get there, and make sure that you have these components in front of you. So has anyone not completed these steps? Does anyone not have these 4 components in front of them? Feel free to type it in the chat, and I'll reiterate any information that you need.
What are the other 2 on the right?
You're referencing these? So these were, when you go into the robot kit, this one, the big blue box, and you open it up, there was a box right here. It looked like this. Both of those components were in this box. So go into this box, pull this out, and go ahead and grab those 2 components. They were in here. Please let me know, Janet, when you're able to do that. So we know we are able to move to the next step. Does anybody else need any help? You found the pieces, Janet? Awesome. So, final call. Has everyone completed this step? Or sorry, if you haven't, please let us know. Okay, guys, so when you grab one of these components, and they're a little hefty, what you're going to see here, and let's wait for it to focus, is there is a slot. Let me see. Okay. It should autofocus, guys. Let me move some of these materials from the back.
It's not autofocusing at all. Right there.
There we go.
There we go.
And so you'll notice there's a slot. And so find that slot. It's a white slot. And you'll notice it's a very similar color to the wires that we just pulled. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take the smaller end of that wire. So remember, that wire had the 2 white tips at the end. One was bigger, one was smaller. What you're going to take is that smaller end. Be very careful, guys. There's some connectors in here. You don't want to bend them because you're being too forceful when you're putting in the wire. So be very careful when you're inserting these wires, because you don't want to break anything. And so it goes in a certain way. It's not, it can go either way. There is a specific way that it goes. If you find resistance when you're putting it in, you're probably putting it in the wrong way. Do not force it. Flip it the other way and try again. And it should just click into place. It should be minimal resistance. If it's really hard to put it in, guys, you're not putting it in the right way. Flip it the other way. And it clicks in, and it should look like this. And then what you're going to do, guys, is you're going to do the exact same thing to the other one. You're going to take the small end of the wire, and you're going to insert it into the same slot. These pieces are identical. The wires are identical. It's going to look the exact same way. And you're going to insert it. And so remember, guys, if there's a lot of resistance to you doing this, you're not putting it in the wrong way. Flip it the other way. And you should just have to push a little bit, and it snaps in. And so I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to do that, and then I'll have a check to make sure that everyone completed that step. So what you should have in front of you guys by the end of this step should look like this. Is anyone having trouble with this? Was everyone able to insert their wires? If you are having any trouble, please let us know. I'm happy to demonstrate it again. Okay, guys, last call. Anyone having trouble before we move on to the next step? Okay, guys, so what we're going to do next is we're going to grab these two components and let's set them to the side, just out of the way. We're going to come back to them in just a moment, but we want to gather the materials that we need now. And so what I'm going to ask that you do, guys, is I want you to go back into your toolbox, and what we're going to need are two M4. Yeah, no worries. We do have a question in the chat, so I'm going to go back to the wire, and I'm going to pull it out. So when you look at the wire, remember it's a black wire with the white tips. There is a big wire, a big end, and there's a small end. We're using the small end right now. And the way it goes, let me verify that I'm putting it in the right way, is it's going to go into that slot. Make sure it focuses. And your wire should go straight in there, guys. Now, right here, if I put it in, see, it just goes in. If I take it out and try to put it in the opposite way, it doesn't. Like, I feel a lot of resistance doing that. That's how I know that I'm putting it in upside down. When you're putting in this wire, it should have very minimal resistance. It just clicks in. And so, that's how you'll know you're putting it in the right way. And if it clicks in, you're A-OK. That's what you're looking for. And so just one more time, guys. That's how the wire goes. That's how the port looks like. And if it helps, there is a smooth way side to the wire, and then there's sort of a side that has like an opening. It's almost looks like teeth. The teeth is going to go up relative to how this piece is holding. You know, metal part down, this piece metal part down, this teeth part up, if that makes any sense. I'm hoping that makes sense. And you're going to click it in. So, Julian, are you able to turn on your camera so we can look at how you're doing it and I can provide some advice? Oh, okay, you got it, Julian? Make sure you do the second one too. It's going to go the exact same way. The exact same way. Remember, when you're putting it in, if there's a lot of resistance, it's upside down. It should just have, you just slightly push and it clicks in. And so Julian, yes, awesome. So I'm going to move on to the next step. So we all have these components in front of us. Let's go ahead and set them to the side because we're going to come back to them in the next step, but we want to grab the components that we need right now. What I want you guys to do is I want you to take your toolbox. And in the next step, and go ahead and grab your legend so we can practice using the legend. In the next step, we're going to need two M4 8mm screws. Sorry, 4 of them. I think I said 2, but we need 4 of them. And so the M4 8mm screw is a screw that is in slot 2. And we're going to need 4 of them. And so we're going to go ahead and open our toolbox. And we're going to go into slot 2, because that's what our legend told us. The 8mm screw is in slot 2. And they all come in this little bag. And I want you to go ahead and open this bag carefully, because if you open it too rough, it'll go all over the place. Carefully open the bag. And you can probably just dump them all out into this slot. I'm going to. And I'm going ahead and grab 4 of these 8mm screws. It's the smallest screw, well, the shortest screw that we have in the entire toolbox. After I grab those screws, I'm going to close this toolbox and set it aside. And so the screws that you have in front of you guys are going to look like this. And if the screw is the wrong size, you're going to be able to tell, guys, when you're building it. But the toolboxes are arranged in the correct way. So if you went into slot 2 and you grabbed 4 of these screws, you've grabbed the correct component. And so I'm going to set this here off to the side somewhere. It's not going to fall off the table, but where they're going to be all in one place. And what we're going to do is grab the second component that we need right now. The second component that we need is going to be in the make block box, this box in particular. So go ahead and grab this box, guys, and I want you to open it up right now. When you open it up, again, this is what you see. Earlier, I'm going to take this out just to signify that we've used it. This is what you see when you open your box. What we want right now is to go ahead and go up here and grab this set of 4 pieces, the set of metal pieces. And as you can tell, guys, this is what I was referring to when I was talking about them being high quality. These are metal. And what we're going to do is going to take that rubber band that was holding them together, and there's 4 pieces. There's 2 sets of 2 pieces, 4 in total. The pieces that we need right now are going to be the shorter ones, these thinner looking ones. So I'm going to set these aside. I'm going to put these back. Remember, these pieces were up here. They were held together by a rubber band, and what you should have gotten are these pieces. They look just like this. They're very unique. There aren't really other pieces in the whole box that look like them. They're thin, rectangular, and they're open all the way along the middle. So I'm going to give everyone about 30 seconds to make sure they grab that. And so the components that we just grabbed, again, are these 2 pieces. And I'll wait for it to focus. There we go. And 4 screws. If you have not completed this step, please let us know. I'm happy to go over where I got these pieces to make sure that you have the correct pieces. So you're going to have these 2 metal plates. You're going to have these 4 screws, and I want you to go ahead and grab your 2. Actually, I forgot one component, guys. Forgive me. Actually, I do want you to go back into your toolbox. So go ahead and set this back. In the toolbox, I forgot to grab one component that we need. And honestly, it's not a component, it's a tool. In slot number 1, we're going to go ahead and grab our screwdriver. And the screwdriver is going to be at the very top in slot number 1. It's going to be in a little plastic bag. We're about to screw these screws into the motors. So make sure you grab your screwdriver. Go ahead and click your toolbox and put it aside. And what you should have in front of you is the, I'll go ahead and take it out, the screwdriver. And your screwdriver comes in 2 components. The 2 metal plates, the 4 screws, and your 2 motors that we've already attached wires to. And so I'm going to give everyone about 30 seconds to make sure they have assembled all of these components. If you have not, please type it in the chat or private message us on Zoom, and we're happy to help you however we can. Okay, guys. Here's what we're going to do here. So I want you to take your screwdriver, and I want you, so I guess this is the actual part that screws. And so why is it separated? Why is it in 2 pieces? It's because it actually has 2 ends that screw. And so let me get this out of the way so I can focus properly. One side is a star-shaped screw, more traditional. Everyone's probably seen this. And the other side is more of a flat end. while this doesn't look like what a screwdriver usually looks like. Let me make sure. There we go. Looks like that. We're going to be using both sides to screw screws in, because depending on the screws that we're using, they're going to use either this side or this side. And the way to tell, guys, is to take the screw that we're about to use, and you take a look at it. You grab that screw, guys. You'll notice. Let's see. That this isn't star shaped. This is going to use the flat end of the screwdriver. And so what we're going to do is going to take the star end and we're going to insert it into the screwdriver like so. And then you're going to spin this portion. And that's going to tighten it in place. And now it's ready to use. See, I'm pulling it pretty hard right now. It's not coming out. Just to reiterate, we're playing around with the lights, guys. So if there was just a big change, that's what it was. So remember, the star end, the pointy end, sorry guys, the focus, there we go. The pointy end is going to go into the screwdriver. And the portion that we're going to be using is the flat end. Remember to tighten it in place. It's going to be this end. So your screwdriver should look like this now. What I want you to do next, guys, I want you to grab one of the mortars. I want you to grab two of the screws. And I want you to grab one of the plates. Go ahead and assemble those. If anyone's having trouble up until this point, again, just tell us in the chat. We'll help you work it out. When you grab your mortar, guys, it should look like this. If you hold it like this and then you flip it, what you're going to notice is that there's two slots in here for you to screw a screw in. That is exactly where this plate and the screws are going to go. And so just to reiterate, when you're looking at it, there's a portion that has almost a knob sticking out, you know, this portion. On that side, on that face, there are two slots for you to screw screws in. And so you're going to grab your plate. And I'm checking my notes just to make sure I'm telling you the correct place. And the screws are going to screw into the very top of the plate. And the plate is symmetrical, guys. It could go either way. There is no particular way that it goes because it's the exact same way on either way. It's symmetrical. And so you're going to pick an end, and it's going to go into the two corners of that piece. And so lined up, it's going to look like this. And it's going to be into these holes that you're going to insert your screws, your 8mm screws into. So just to reiterate, you're going to take your mortar, the face this way, and you're going to line up your plate. And it's going to be the two corners of one end of that plate. And it is symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which end or which side it is facing because both will work. But it's line them up with the corner. And when you do that, go ahead and grab your screw and insert it. And you can probably start tightening it with your finger. You're going to have to come back and tighten with the screwdriver to make sure it's nice and snug. But just to get it on there, you can use your finger. And see, if you notice, I didn't get it in there a whole lot, just enough for it to stay. And then what you're going to do is do the other screw. And once you do that, it's going to be held in place. And so I did as much as I could with the finger before I did the screwdriver. And so it should be attached, and it should look like this. And I'm just demonstrating it to you before we move on and actually tighten them. But it should look like this. Remember, it was in those gold screw holes that were in the mortar that look like this. What you're going to do is go ahead and take your screwdriver, guys, and we're going to tighten them. You don't want to tighten them, you know, with every ounce of strength that you have, but you do want them to be snug. And so you're going to turn, and then you're going to have some resistance, then just do a little bit more, and you should be good. And so it's going to be easy, 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 then some resistance. I'm going to do a little bit more, and it's tight. And so again, guys, you don't want to just keep going and going. What you can do, what you run the risk of doing if you do that, guys, is that you'll let me ask Mr. Gilo because my mind is blanking. When you mess with a screwdriver, what happens to the end? What is the term?
You strip the
You may
screw.
exactly. You
So
may
what
strip
that
the
is
screw.
you strip the threads
Mhm.
and inside of the screw, so you won't be able to tighten it any longer. You won't be able to take it out either.
Yeah, and so you'll strip it, and so it's in a specific shape to work with the screwdrivers, guys. So what happens if you strip it? You ruin that shape, and then suddenly the screwdriver that's supposed to work with it no longer works. And so you want to avoid. And this is just in general, especially for this project right now, but just in general, you don't ever want to over tighten screws because you run that risk. You don't want to strip it. And so, what you should have right now is a piece that looks like this. Does anyone not have this? Was anyone confused or lost? I want you to look at the screen and make sure that it's screwed in the exact same slots. Because if it's not, it's going to give you trouble later. And it's easier if we catch that problem now than if we run into it later and we have to work back 3 or 4 steps. And so it should look exactly like what you see on the screen. Please send us a message if you're having any trouble before we move on to the next step. Okay, guys, so what you're going to do is you're going to do the exact same thing to the other motor. The exact same thing. So go ahead and again, say we're going to replicate that same step. You're going to line it up. You're going to take the face of that motor, that wheel motor. You're going to line up the 2 corners. Again, it's symmetrical. It doesn't matter which end you choose or which side. It's all the same. And you're going to line it up with those holes like that, like so. Let's go ahead and put some of these screws in. Or you should have 2 screws in, so you're going to put in both screws. I'm going to tighten just a little bit with my finger, just enough that it's on there and it's not going to fall off. And then we go ahead and do that with the other one as well. And so, guys, again, it should look just like the other one. Here I've hand tightened them, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the screwdriver and I'm going to go ahead and tighten them. Remember, don't over tighten, just enough that it's snug and it's not going to fall out. Okay, guys. What you should have in front of you are 2 pieces. They should look identical. For obvious reasons, because these are the engines to the motors, so they look the same way because there's wheels on either side, so they're gonna operate the exact same way, and so they should look like this. Oh shoot, were we mute the whole time? Okay, guys, has anyone not reached this step? Does anyone not have these 2 components in front of them? Alrighty, guys. Okay, awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next step. What I want you to do is go ahead and set these aside. We'll come back to them in just a moment, but for right now, let's just move them out of the way so we don't drop them or break them or what have you. What I want you to do is I want you to go into your toolbox. And what we're going to need for step number 2 is the M4 10mm screw. What we used in the last step is the 8mm screw. What we need for this step is the 10mm screw. If you look at your legend, the 10mm screw is in slot number 3. And we're going to need 2 of those. So let's go ahead and open up our robot kit. And what I did, guys, when I was organizing them is I put them by ascending order. So 8mm, 10mm, 12mm, so they're in order. So we're going to go into slot number 3. And we're going to grab 2 of these 10mm screws. And so there's not a lot of them in here, guys. Just like before, you can dump them in here. There's not a lot of them. They're only slightly longer than the 8mm screw, and they look like this. let me get the toolbox out of the way. So close your toolbox, click it shut, guys, and let's set it aside out of our working area. And so the 2 screws should look like this. I know it's hard to tell over camera what size they are. They're only slightly bigger than the ones we just used. And so you're going to grab 2 10mm screws. What I want you to do next is I want you to grab your Robot Ranger box, this box. I want you to open it, and from in here, what I want you to grab is first, I want you to go up here, and I want you to grab one of these. They almost look like beams. And if you notice when you grab this piece, you should have 2 in here, but right now we only need 1 of them. So just grab one, leave the other one where it is, and go ahead and grab this. You'll notice that it has holes all along either edge, and there is a ridge in the middle. Not on both sides, the other side is flat, but on this side it's a ridge. That's how you know the piece that you need. Remember guys, that was up here. When you open up your toolbox, it was up here. There was 2 of them, now there is only 1. Next, what I want you to do is I want you to remove this top plate. And what you'll see is this. There's a lot of components in here. We briefly looked at it earlier. But one of the bags in here contains more metal pieces like the ones we saw, like the ones we've just used and the ones we saw at the very top. When you open up this baggie, what you'll see is that there are a lot of different pieces, obviously, but one of the pieces is almost shaped like an elbow. And there's 2 of them. They look like socks. They look like an elbow, whatever analogy or symbolism is more appealing to you. But they look like an elbow. It's the only 2 pieces in the entire kit that look like this. And you're only going to grab 1 of them. We're going to save the other one for later. We're going to use it later. So make sure you just grab 1. And the one that you did not use, put it back into the baggie. Make sure you close that back, guys. So none of those pieces fall out and we're able to locate them very easily in the future. Now that we've put that back, I want you guys to put all the papers, put all your everything, all your materials in the robot kit back in there. Let's shut it. Let's close it, and let's set it aside. And so what you should have in front of you right now, guys, is going to be this beam-like piece. It's going to be this elbow-like piece. There's going to be 2 10mm screws, and there's going to be 1 screwdriver. Does anyone here not have either of these pieces? I'll give everyone a couple of seconds to answer if you do not. I'm happy to go over again where I got either of these pieces. It is not a problem at all. Okay guys, here's what we're going to do next. Is we're going to put all of this, I want you to grab, actually, why don't you go ahead and grab one of these as well, because that's what we're going to be attaching these pieces to. So what you should actually have in front of you is this beam-like piece, this elbow-shaped piece, 2 screws, a screwdriver, and the piece that we assembled in the previous component. So you should have these 5 components in front of you. And so this step, guys, is a little confusing. I remember the first time I built this robot, this is where I built it wrong, and then I had to go back a few steps. So be very deliberate with where you are placing these pieces. And it might be a little hard because we are putting we're going to have to be holding 3 pieces together at the same time as we screw it in. So if you're having any trouble, please let me know. What I want to emphasize, guys, and if anything I say is confusing, please let me know, and I'm happy to go over it. And so when we look at this piece, guys, here, what you want is for this to be pointed inward. So when you're looking at the piece, it's going to look like this. This is going to be pointing inward. And so we're going to attach these pieces like so, like this. And so what I want you to make sure is that the orientation is correct. And this is just a demonstration. We're going to put it together in a second, but make sure that this is pointing inward. what we're going to be screwing into is going to be these two holes, the two top holes. I say that because there's a bunch of holes that you can screw into it here, and it can be very confusing which ones are the correct ones. But I'm trying. I want to make very clear that the two holes are going to be the two center ones. They're the only ones that are spaced out like this. And so, just as an extra demonstration, it's going to go inserted into there. Can you go ahead and take that out? Actually, I'll keep that inside. Go ahead and do that, guys. I think it will help us in inserting the other pieces. So go ahead and insert those two screws like so. So let me move these pieces out of the way so that the camera can focus. And remember, guys, it's going to be orientated that way. So the screws should be pointed inward, just like the mortar, just like this metal piece of the mortar. So it should look like this. And so notice, again, it's going to be the two centermost holes. There's going to be 3 on this end, there's going to be 3 on this end, and then 2 in the middle. It's the 2 in the middle on the top that we're going to be screwing into. So I'm going to set that down, and I'm going to grab my elbow-shaped piece. This elbow-shaped piece is going to be pointed upward. And the holes that we're going to be screwing into in this step are going to be the 2 holes at the end. This hole and this hole. And I know that it can be very hard to explain this verbally, guys. I'm doing my best to show you visually, but if it seems confusing, you're not exactly sure which holes it's supposed to go into, please let me know. I'm happy to show you again, and it's going to go in just like that. And so these two pieces are going to line up in terms of length, and it's going to look like this. This is what your piece should look like. Holding it on the other side, it's going to look like this. And so this is the way it should be orientated. If you guys are having any trouble, please let me know. I'm happy to go over these steps again. I know it can be confusing having to hold so many pieces together at once. And so when you have your piece, it should look like this. Remember, the elbow is pointed upwards, guys. Next, what you're going to take is this beam piece. And like we went over before, guys, there is 2 sides to this piece. There is that side with the ridge, and then there's a side that's flat. The side with the ridge is going to be pointed upwards. Upwards being the same direction that the elbow piece is pointing. And so we are messing with the lighting right now, guys, because we want to make sure that the lighting is perfect so that you're able to see everything that we do. So go ahead and grab this piece, and you're going to orientate it with the ridge at the top. If you turn it to the end, guys, what you're going to see is there's 2 holes at the end. Those are going to be the holes that the 2 screws screw into. And so I want you guys to align them with the 2 screws. Does that make sense to everyone? If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. And so remember, we have the 2 screws coming out of this piece, and they should look like this. And then we're going to attach that beam to these 2 screws. It's going to be tough to hold it all, guys, so that's why I set it down on the mat. And you're going to line it up, and it's going to line up perfectly, guys. So what I want you to do is go ahead and tighten with your fingers just a little bit. Do a little bit of one, then do a little bit of the other, just to make sure they're attached. And so mine are attached. Again, guys, just to reiterate, this is what it's going to look like, and this is what your shape is going to look like. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my screwdriver and screw in. I'm going to be alternating, guys. I'm going to do a little bit of one and a little bit of the other. Sometimes when you tighten one end of a screw of of a piece you're assembling, it could throw off the other end. So I always try to screw in at the same time. Not do one completely and then the other one completely. I just go back and forth until everything is screwed in. And then this one, guys, you're going to see a little more resistance than you did with the last one. That is okay. Just keep going. Once you feel it come to a stop and you can't really screw anymore. Now, I'm not saying put your, your shoulder into it. Just when you have a lot more resistance, you'll see that end. When you reach a wall almost. That's when you can stop. And so I'm going to tighten it nice and snug. And what you should have is something that looks like this. I'm going to spin it around so that you're able to see. Make sure it's orientated the same way. And so if you're looking at it from the top, it should look like this. Remember, there's that metallic side of this mortar. Your beam should be pointed in the same direction. And your elbow should be pointed in the upwards direction like this. It should be going above the other pieces. And this is going to be very important. If you don't get this right, guys, it could mess up the rest of the build process. So that's why I'm being very slow in this step, just to make sure that you get it right. Does anyone not have something that resembles this in front of them? If you do not, please let me know. I'm happy to go over it again. Okay, guys, and the next step, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and grab the same pieces and we're going to attach the two mortars. By the end of it, it's going to be attached like so. The only piece that's missing right now is the elbow piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the make block box. We're going to open it up. We're going to remove this lid, remove these papers, and we're going to go back into this baggie with all the metal pieces. And we're going to go ahead and grab that other elbow piece that we did not grab last time. It's going to look like this. So remember, there was only two of them. We already used one. You should have one left. Let's go ahead and grab it and use it. Once you do have it, make sure you put everything away, back in the way it was meant to go. Box closed. Let's put it to the side, and I want you to go ahead and grab your tool kit. We're going to need two more of those screws, guys. We're going to need two 10mm screws, and the two 10mm screws, if you remember, are in slot. I'll go ahead and pull my legend. The two 10mm screws are going to be in slot number 3. We had 8 in total. We've already used 2. There should be 6 in there, and we're going to grab 2 of those 6. So if we go into our toolbox, slot number 3, we're going to grab 2 of these screws. Whoops. I almost dropped it. That's okay. Just make sure you keep track of where it fell. You're going to grab 2 of those screws. Slot number 3, guys. 2 10mm screws. One more time, the 10mm screws in slot number 3. And if you have your legend in front of you, you can reference that real quick. And it'll tell you exactly where these pieces are. And you're going to grab those screws, you're going to set those aside and put your toolbox aside. Make sure you close that and it snaps shut. And we're going to come back to it in a moment in our following steps. So what I want you to do is grab the piece that we assembled last time. I'm just organizing my workspace, guys. So one moment. I'm going to make sure that everything is where I need it to be. You're going to grab the piece that we assembled last time. You're going to grab that elbow piece we just grabbed. You're going to grab that other mortar that we assembled like 2 or 3 steps ago. You're going to have your 2 screws, and you're going to have your screwdriver. That's what we're going to need to assemble or to complete this next step. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to look at your workstation and make sure that everything looks similar to the way I have it. It doesn't have to be orientated or in the exact order that I have it. Just make sure that you have these pieces. Now we're going to put it all together, guys. Again, at any point, if you're not ready for me to move on to the next step, just let me know. We're going to grab this piece. Let's grab the one that isn't, that we did not assemble. That doesn't have the 2 pieces attached to it. It's just this simple piece. And let's go ahead and attach the elbow to it. If you notice this piece, the metallic part is pointed inward. This one is also going to be pointed inward. So they're going to be facing each other. It's almost going to be symmetrical. If you cut it in half, it's going to look exactly the same. If you take geometry, you know, they'll be symmetrical. And the elbow piece is going to go in there. So remember, guys, it's going to be the 2 top center holes. And on the elbow, it's going to be the top 2 holes at the very end. And so I'm going to go ahead and insert my screws. It'll look like so. So it look like that. Then I'm going to attach my elbow piece. Remember, the elbow is going to be orientated upward. It's going to attach like that. Now I haven't screwed anything in, so I'm not going to let it go because everything will fall out. It's going to look like that. So I'm going to spin it just as best I can, just so that you're able to see it and make sure that yours looks the same. Remember, the screws are going to be pointing towards the same direction that this mortar is looking. And make sure you're screwing them in the correct holes, guys. Because like I said, it will give you trouble later if they are not. What you're going to do next is you're going to line up that center beam with the 2 screws. And you're going to insert them. Because if you notice, you know, we screwed them straight into the beam, but it has the same holes on the other side. Whoops, let me see if it focuses. There we go. And you're going to screw straight into those holes. So I'm just going to tighten them with my fingers before I grab my screwdriver, guys. And it might be a little bit tight because these mortars are going to bump into each other, at least the wires at the end. That's okay, guys. It's meant to be nice and snug like that. So I'm going to grab my screwdriver and I'm going to screw. I didn't say this earlier, but remember, guys, you're going to be screwing to the right to tighten, and you screw to the left to loosen. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, you know. It's a quick way to remember doing that. This one's going to be a little rougher than the other one. It's going to be a little harder to put in. And that's okay. Just make sure that that gap in the middle, make sure it closes as much as you can. It might not close all the way. All these pieces, you know, it might be our robots. Each might be slightly different, you know, just ever so slightly. That's okay if it doesn't close all the way. As long as you've tightened it and it's snug, it's not going to fall apart. There we go. And remember to alternate, guys. Go one and then the other, and then one and then the other. If you do one a lot, what's going to happen is you're going to angle it, and it's going to be really hard to screw in that second screw. So make sure you're alternating, or else it might give you trouble. You know, sometimes it doesn't, but I find that a lot of times it does. So you're just making sure they're tight. Tight. And what you should have in front of you right now is going to look exactly like this, guys. Sorry, let me spin it around so you guys can see it. Remember, the 2 mortars are going to be pointed inward. The ridge on the beam is going to be pointed upward. And the elbows are going to be pointed upward. Remember, these elbow pieces went on the inside, in between the beam and the mortars. So I'm going to spin it around so everyone can see it. If yours does not look like what you see on the screen, please let me know, guys. And I just verified it is correct. I'm always double checking my work. And if by some chance you actually notice me building it wrong, please let me know. I certainly don't want to make a mistake either. Like I said, it is complicated. It is easy to make a mistake. But yours should look like this. Does anyone not have a piece that resembles this right now? Because I certainly don't want to move into the next step if you have not completed this step. Sorry, guys. I was just waiting. It sounded like somebody was about to type into the chat. I'm just trying to wait to see if they're going to complete that thought. I don't have a specific name. It says iPhone. But if you're going to type something in iPhone, please let us know if you're having trouble with anything. Okay, awesome, Sherman. You know, somebody typed a message that, they're asking should they turn on their cam so, they can show us that they're following the steps. I certainly welcome it. If you're able to do that, I'd love to see you guys' faces, and I'd love to see the robot as you're building it. If you're able to, I'd certainly encourage it. At the very least, to show me, if you have any questions, hey, this is what mine looks like. Does it look right? Or anything of that sort. So if you wanted to set it up, and if you can't set it up tomorrow, maybe you want to set it up, if you can't set it up right now, if you want to set it up tomorrow for the rest of the week, that would be great. Certainly for the showcase, if you're going to participate in that, you do need to have a webcam. We need to be able to see what you're doing. But just to answer that question more directly, yeah, if you want to set up a camera so we can see what you're doing, we'd love to see that. Okay, guys, we're going to move into one last step before we end building for the day, before we achieve the goal that we set out to build today. What we're going to do now, guys, for this final step is I want you to take this almost completed frame and I want you to set it to the side. I want you to go into this make block box. We're going to go back into it, and we want you to open it up. And at the very top, when you open it up, there should be just one piece left. In the last step, we used the piece that looked just like this. There was two of them. We're going to use the second one. I want you to close your robot box and set it aside. I'll give everyone a second to reach in there and grab that. Take a moment to clean my work area, guys. What I want you to do next is I want you to pull out your legend. And then your legend, for this next step, what we're going to need is going to be 4 8mm screws, which is in slot number 2. It's going to be the smallest screws that we have, and we're going to need 4 of them. And so slot number 2. So with that knowledge, I'm going to go ahead and reach into my toolbox. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go into slot number 2. We've already used these screws. So if you're like me, they're already loose in there. And we're going to grab 4 of those in slot number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 8mm screws that are in slot number 2 in your toolkit. Now, shut my toolbox shut, and I'm going to set it aside so I can grab my frame. And actually, I remember the first time I built this, I tightened these too much, and it was a little hard to line this up. But it does not look like I'm going to have that trouble this time. If you happen to have that trouble, it might help you is just to loosen these a little bit, and it'll give you a little more wiggle room, and you can insert this piece. Like I said, it gave me trouble last time I built this, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue this time. So I'm just going to go ahead and carry forward. So what we should have in front of us is this frame, well, almost completed frame, 4 screws, and this beam-like piece. When you turn this frame to the side, guys, it can be a little confusing how many holes are in these pieces, but you notice, I'll use the screwdriver to point, is towards the end of this piece, you almost see like a cross of holes. The holes that we're going to use right now to screw that piece in is going to be this hole, and then the third hole. So just as a visualization, I'll put in the screws. We can't put this in right now because we have to put the other piece in and then the screws, otherwise it won't fit. But it's going to go in like that. And when you flip it on the other side, guys, remember it's symmetrical. The pieces are the same on both sides, and it's going to be the same way. It's going to be in that cross-like section. Let's see, that might look the best. And it's going to be the very top hole, and it's going to be the third hole. Whoops. There we go, that one. So again, as a visualization, I'm going to go ahead and insert it. Going to be inserted into these holes. And remember, it's symmetrical. It's going to go into the same holes on either side. And it's going to look like that. Oops, let me get that focus. There we go. So it's going to look like that. I just want you to have an idea or to know exactly where these screws are going to go, because it's going to be a little harder to see in a moment. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this piece, and it's going to go fit it straight in there in between these two pieces. And this piece, and it's going to fit snug because you've already tightened those other screws like we did before. And the piece is going to go in like that. It's going to be facing, it's going to be vertical facing forward exactly. And when you get to the side, when you looked at this piece, remember there's the 2 holes that you screw into on either end. So this side has the 2 holes, and then this side has the 2 holes. And so you're going to take this ridge-sided piece, or a side, and that's going to be facing forward to the outside. So you're going to insert it like so. You're going to line it up with the 2 holes that we were going to screw in. And so I'm going to go ahead and set it down like this. This is kind of helping me setting it down like that. I'm going to go ahead and put these screws in. And if they're not going in exactly, you just kind of have to wiggle the piece. Maybe you have to wiggle this piece a little bit to make sure it's aligned perfectly. Just going to tighten it just a little bit because I don't want to over tighten, because then I can't put in the other screw. And then I'm going to tighten this one. And see, this one isn't going in. I just got to wiggle it a little bit. Make sure it's aligned, and there we go. So I'm going to use my screwdriver to tighten it in there. See, this one's giving me a little more trouble, guys. So that's happening to you. Don't worry. I think it's because this one was a little too tightened. I'm going to loosen it to give it a little more wiggle room. Sorry, I was off camera. And so it's a little tighter, guys. I want to make sure that the way I'm fitting them is right. So I'm going to actually unscrew. I'm going to do it all over again because I want to make sure that it's fitting the way it's supposed to. So I'm actually going to take off the top screw and I'm going to do the bottom. And you might not have to do this. It's just me, as I'm building it, I'm recognizing that this is probably what I have to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. If yours fit in there nicely, go ahead. See, it fits a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, see, it fits better. Now I'm going to put in that second one. The top one, I should say. See, and that fits better in there. It's still tight. Remember, that's what I was getting at earlier when I said you want to screw them at around the same rate, because otherwise, and then it gets really hard to screw them in. So I'm not going to screw them in all the way, just because I want to make sure that I come on this other side and I do the same thing. And I want these screws to be inserted before I screw the other side all the way. And so I'm going to line that up the exact same way. I guess just a visualization. Let me show you the other side. Remember, this is what it's going to look like. You guys be able to see what mine looks like. Remember we had that cross-like series of holes, and it was a top hole, it was a bottom hole. And this side is going to look like this. Remember, it's screwed in there, guys. So your piece looks like this. I'm just going to turn it so you kind of get an idea of what it's supposed to look like. I'm going to come over to this side and I'm going to screw them into the correct holes. The top hole and the third hole. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my finger. I'm not going to tighten either one all the way, remember. I'm just going to get them in there. I'm going to hand tighten for just a moment, make sure they get in there, and then I'm going to tighten with a screwdriver. So I'm going to use my screwdriver to make sure this one goes in. And so now I'm going to go ahead and tighten all the way, guys. I'm going to tighten all 4 screws all the way. And so that one's not angled right. Again, I'm going to unscrew until I get it right. And so some of you may be having this trouble. Some of you may be aligned a little bit better. It's okay. I remember the last time, this is the step that can be the hardest because of the way the pieces are aligned. So I'm going to make sure that I'm unscrewing it so that I tighten it the right way. The right way, excuse me. So there we go. And mess around with it until I get it right. Is anyone having trouble with this step? Is everyone doing okay? If you're having trouble, please let us know in the chat. We'll provide support. Provide technical support. Oops. Remember, guys, these were a little more snug, but it is going in there. I've aligned it correctly. So, there we go. So remember, see, I had to fidget with it a little bit to make sure that it lined up the way it was supposed to, but I got it. Tighten that side all the way. Now I'm going to tighten the other side all the way. Yeah, you can speak. Sorry, I looked away from the chat for a moment. You can speak if you're having trouble. Uh, let's see. Let me put on the headphones so I can hear you.
So while tightening one of the screws, it's not fitting quite snugly.
Yeah, so that was what I was just having trouble with. What you might have to do is, if you've already tightened one, what you might have to do is untighten the one you've already tightened and just keep playing around with it until you get it. I was having the same trouble right now. And so when you screw in one, it seems like it might sorry, I wasn't aware of the camera. It might angle it in a way that makes the other one almost come in instead of straight, come in at an angle. And so that's what I was noticing. And so I was kind of screwing one and then unscrewing the other and just kind of going back and forth until I got them to line up. And really, the side that it gave me a lot of trouble, I can't remember if it was this one or this one, but one of them I kind of almost had to force it in, really put muscle into it to get that one in. But I got it in, and I didn't feel like I was breaking anything. I didn't feel like I was breaking the frame. I didn't feel like I was stripping the screw. If you can feel comfortable doing it and really putting in some muscle into tightening it, I recommend doing that. Just kind of forcing it. But I had the same trouble with one of these screws. But they will fit in. I think it's just the nature of the way um, the pieces line up. So go ahead and try that. If you're still having trouble, we'll work it out. Um, I believe it's Sherman. What are you having trouble with, Sherman? Is it the similar things where the screws aren't lining up exactly? Again, just to reiterate what I was telling Janet, is that when I would tighten one, it was almost making one of them come in at an angle. And so, just to untighten it, I can show you an example. My recommendation is that you get them in. You get the screws in, and then you screw one a little bit, then you screw the other one a little bit, and you just keep going back and forth until you get them both. I know that might take forever, but I think that's going to be the best way to make sure that they both go in the way that they're supposed to. And so, remember your pieces are aligned, and so just insert it, just there. That one is in, and it's no, it wasn't in. Let's see. Make sure it's aligned correctly. So I'm going to put it in. I'm going to take my screwdriver. I'm going to just barely just make sure it's in. Now I know that it's in. It probably wasn't even like a full rotation, just like 3/4 of one. I'm going to line up the other one. I'm going to do the same thing, just like part of a rotation. And so now I see that both of them are in. What I notice, and this is what you guys are having trouble, is that if I did one at a faster pace than the other one, it would mess up the other screw. And so what I recommend right now is that you just alternate. You just spin a little bit and then you jump up to the other one. You spin a little bit and you just keep going back and forth until you get them both. And see, actually, this seems a lot easier now than it did the first time. And so I'm just going to keep going back and forth until I get it. And so this piece definitely seems a little more, I guess, built to go in a very specific, very certain way. Okay, awesome.
I may
Sherman.
have a unique issue. I think one of the heads of the screws are bent.
One of the head of the screws is bent?
Yeah, it's not going flush, and I'm just unscrewing and screwing it back in.
Okay, one moment. One moment. Gotcha. So Sherman, you got it. I'm gonna look forward into the pieces that we're gonna need later on. Confused.
Yeah, it's just not going flush.
So actually, I was just making sure that we weren't going to use those pieces. So the pieces that we just used were the 8 millimeter. If that specific screw is messed up, go ahead and grab one of the out of the toolkit because it comes with a bunch of extra ones. And so go ahead and go into slot number 2, and let's go ahead and get rid of that screw because we can't use it later because it's not going to be correct either way. But it does come with a lot of extra. It's not going to mess you up later. So just go ahead, go back into your toolkit, go into slot number 2, and grab a replacement screw. Araceli, it's the same robot we built last year, not 3 years ago. No, no worries, Araceli. But I'm pretty sure you came last year, so you should have one. Yeah, sure, Roman, you can show us. And Janet, if you're still having trouble, please let me know. And we'll work it out. Awesome. That looks good. Take a look at that. That looks great, Roman.
Nice, Roman. Like your shirt. Wear it on Friday. Or wear the other one on Friday, you can.
Okay. And remember, Janet, remember that the first time I did it, I almost kind of forced one, but when I was showing it the second time, I was doing a little bit one, a little bit the other. That made a huge difference. So once you do get that other screw, make sure just a little bit, and just keep going back and forth between the two until you get it. And if you're having any trouble, let us know. At this point, though, and if you're having trouble, Jenny, I'm happy to stay with you a little bit extra afterwards so we can work that out. But at this point, guys, you should have something that resembles this, and we've reached the stopping point, the marker that we set out to achieve today. This is going to be the frame to the Ranger that we are going to be building over the next few days. This is what it's going to look like. This is what everything that we put on it is going to be. It's going to be working off of this frame, off of this skeleton, so to speak. So I would say congratulations, guys. As we saw, especially that last step was a very challenging step. But maybe some of you can see where we're heading with this. Maybe for some others, it may be a little harder to envision the Ranger. But we're well on our way, guys. We're well on that first couple of steps. And so what I want to do now that we've built this frame is we want to make sure that we put everything away in a way that we're going to be able to get to it tomorrow, and it is not going to get lost or broken in the meantime. And so what I would recommend is I'm going to see if it fits in here. If I take this robot box and I open it up and I insert it under here, will it fit and will it close? This is just a test, guys. See if it works. Just to kind of angle it in a way to see if it works. It may not. It may be too snug. No, it's too big. So go ahead and take that robot out. Don't put it in there. I'm going to go a different route. Make sure that you put your robot box and your toolkit. And again, ask that you go ahead and put it back into your learning kit, into that bag that we gave you, the one that you picked up. Go ahead and organize it all back in there. That's where I'm doing it. I have it right under my desk in front of me. I'm going to be inserting it. I'm going to be putting it away. And then what I want you to do with that frame that we built is I want you to insert it into the same bag. Insert it however you see fit, however it's comfortable to you. Maybe at the top, maybe under the t-shirts, maybe wrapped in the t-shirts so it doesn't get damaged. And I want you to set it in there. And then that's where it's going to stay, guys, until tomorrow when we build the next few, the next portion of the robot. Oh, the only thing I did forget, guys, make sure you put that screwdriver back into the toolkit in the slot number 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. While Mr. Gilo takes over those closing remarks.
Okay, so we're gonna head on over to our PowerPoint real quick. Thank you, Mr. Acosta, for the frame building on the first day. Each one of you deserve a pat on the back for making it this far. It's not a small feat to put this together by yourself, holding the screws and holding the pieces together by yourself. So tomorrow, what we plan on doing is continuing on the frame. We'll actually finish the robot tomorrow, so that on Wednesday and Thursday we can get started on the coding of it. But what I want to do is pull up our PowerPoint real quick.
May I say something, Mr. Gilo?
Yes, sir.
Guys, don't forget tomorrow we're going to make up some of the information that we lost today. So we'll have I'll be going back into the original PowerPoint and the agendas that you have in your learning folders, and adding what we missed today, like some of the introductions. Be prepared tomorrow. We're going to have you introduce yourself as well, and we're going to learn a little bit more about what talent search is, and then we're going to move right into our curriculum and get that done. Talking about those objectives and outcomes. So I want you to review that today, if you get a chance, and then we're going to finish building this. So just kind of wanted to give you an update of where we're going to head. Appreciate your patience today, guys. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Flores, do we want to do the contact sheet right now, or shall we do that tomorrow?
Whatever you feel like you need to get done.
Shoot first thing tomorrow.
You've got
Okay.
10
It's
minutes.
been a long day.
Okay. Well, we'll show you how to fill out the contact form in the morning for tomorrow for each of your attendants, and also that's going to be critical for each one of you to fill out in order to be eligible for some of the really cool incentives that Dr. Flores has mentioned previously.
And for the pizza.
Will you
for the
also have a-
showcase.
Yeah.
Are you going to jazz it up a little tomorrow for them?
Yes, we'll jazz it up a little bit. We're always wanting to throw in a few little surprises for you guys, and that the educational robot kit that we put together is one thing, but we have a lot of other cool things in our back pocket, I guess you could say.
Would you guys like to see where they're producing this from? What room they're producing this from? The esports lounge? Would you like to know a little bit more about that, guys?
That'd be cool.
All right, Janet. Everyone wants to know, where are we at? Where are we broadcasting from? You may notice last year. Yeah. You may have noticed last year we were in one area. It could have been a dining room, or it could have been somewhere else. We also broadcasted last month from the lobby of our talent search office, and this year UHD Student Activities was gracious enough to lend us their esports lounge. Now, UHD is one of the only universities so far in the country to have an esports lounge with teams that actually go on tournaments and compete in things like League of Legends, Overwatch, Halo,
Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers. So we are broadcasting from that very room where they have those tournaments, and we want to bring in one of the managers at one point this week to sort of talk a little bit about it. But to showcase a little bit about what this room is, there's a big screen back here that shows that they can showcase any one of the computers that anyone is gaming on. This is a state-of-the-art $250,000 room, and the gaming chairs are embroidered with the UHD logo. Each computer in here is fitted with the latest and greatest technology in terms of GPU, CPU, Alienware, and Asus 144 hertz. Everybody knows what it takes to run a gaming machine, and they knock it out of the park here at UHD. It's incredible. And so we'll share a little bit more about what this lounge has to offer later on in the week. We'll show you some of the machines, and I'll see if I can't take one of the cameras off of the monitor here, and we can do like a little walk around and have one of the managers talk about it. One of the really cool things is they compete every year. They've won tournaments here, and if you become a student here, you'll be more than welcome to actually come in and join and maybe game on your off time.
And that's part of that is a student recreation center. So you pay to be in that room. So it's yours to use. And I know that last week they hosted the major tournament, the Smash Brother tournament, Super Smash Brothers tournament. And the buzz was so great that they had over, I don't know, 1,400 views from different parts of the world. They had them on Twitch and on Esports Arena and Discord. They had people from Italy watching, and Brazil watching, and Mexico watching, and South Korea watching, Canada and Norway and Switzerland. So it just went on and on and on. That was just really, really cool. They had 64 student competitors.
And that's the really cool thing is that you have so many competitors, you have state-of-the-art technology, and it all comes together. And like Dr. Flores mentioned, they stream these. They stream it on Twitch, they stream it on YouTube, and they've got some very prominent accounts and people that watch them. So it's pretty cool.
Take it away, guys.
All right, so we're wrapping up. Make sure that everything is put back into your learning kit bag and it's organized for tomorrow. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you do not lose any parts and you have everything organized and ready to go by tomorrow. Now, we plan on absolutely being on time tomorrow with no technical glitches or any hiccups or anything. So please be on time with us at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Like I said, if you miss a portion, you need to let us know. You need to let Dr. Flores know, especially when it comes to the showcase and winning some of the cool prizes. And if you do miss anything, of course, you can go back to our YouTube channel, subscribe on the YouTube channel as well, because there will be some cool incentives that Dr. Flores mentioned previously. But you can go back and rewatch as many times as you need in order to get what Mr. Costa and I are talking about, and whenever it comes to assembling and coding your robot.
Guys, don't forget about the awards. Be the social media king or queen will be crowned Friday.
Yes. So follow us on all those social medias. All right. If there's no other questions, you guys are dismissed. We're going to go ahead and end here. Make sure you come back tomorrow, 1 p.m., okay?
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice one.
Bye.
Does the team want to stay on for a minute? When
Sure.
everybody's off? Okay. Can we get Janet to leave? Oh, Janet, she's waiting for something.
Okay.
Overkill.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that little comment. It was really cool to look at all of that stuff.
Cool. We appreciate you being here.
No worries. Have a nice one.
You as well.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Maria, Attack of the UHD Monster. Okay, we've got Araceli on. Araceli, do you need to speak with somebody?
No worries, Araceli. Thank you for joining.
You're ending the connection. Mothership is leaving.
Isaac, if you don't have anything, let me know in the next few seconds here. I'm going to put you in the waiting room. All right.
Lois, would you have a moment to chat with me?
Certainly.
Why don't we go over, I'm still working on the slide presentation for tomorrow because I'm having to add the information that we didn't get to them today. What is scribbled all over your wall behind you?
I don't know. Oh, some signs from back in the day.
Oh, no, above that, where the Trio Works thing is.
Okay, I think it's on my box.
Oh,
On
okay.
a box or
It looks like
something.
you got something, looks like it's scribbled on the wall.
I see that. Yes. Okay.
Funny. Yeah, we're gonna, if you don't mind, we can just go over those tomorrow. You can actually read them if you want. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I'll chime in if we need to, guys, okay? But I'm having to rearrange the PowerPoint from this morning to make up for the introductions of the assistants we didn't get to. And to talk about, what else? I have it behind here. Anyway, to make up for what we didn't get done today. So I'm gonna just kind of whiz through them. We'll play the name game with them. My name is, so they can introduce themselves tomorrow. So that may take a little while because there are 5 things I want them to tell me: their name, the grade, the school, what their favorite food is. And if any of them, this is for you, Andres, if any of them are taking any advanced placement courses and which ones.
Advanced
Okay.
placement.
This way you'll at least have some heads up and we can start working on those right away in terms of contacting their teachers and making sure that we get whatever we can. At least we'll know who they are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then I'm adding the slides on robotic science for Lois and I to talk about programming, coding, types of coding, what is coding, and then I've got that short video I think that Ryan and you wanted me to show on, was it block coding or was it the gentleman that was talking about something? I'll look it up, but I know which one you're talking about. It was, I think, the Stanford professor.